This week, DC blew the doors wide off the vault that contained the secrets behind DC All In and Absolute. This is the moment we've been waiting for. We have waited since New York Comic Con 2023. That is when I, at least, and Tyler first heard about Absolute. And we have waited since then for DC to finally acknowledge it, and acknowledge it they did. This week, they put out a video by Scott Snyder and Joshua Williamson that detailed what we can expect, what All In is, what this initiative is, what we can expect, the how, some details at least, as to the how we arrive at Absolute, how that is going to manifest. And we actually got some creative teams. We got a bunch of creative teams behind the All In initiative. DC is going all in this year. They are doing their absolute best to get people to pay attention to them. And that is why this week we are paying a lot of attention to them. We're going to break down all the announcements. We're going to talk about, the new creative teams and what we can expect here. It's going to be very exciting. This is it. We are in comic season, comics announcement season. I couldn't be any more excited. We've got Kale.
What's up, announcement dogs?
We've got Tyler.
Hey, yo.
And I'm Sean. And you guys are here with us to hear us talk DC. Thank you for joining us, whether you are live or in the future with us. Marco couldn't be here. He had a family emergency. Thank you guys for showing up. Let's waste none of your time and dive right into the DC talk. I know, right, Izzy? Izzy says Saturday again already. Let's go. It's crazy. What's up, Pete? What's up, Andrew? What's up, Atomic Hound? Sylv, Brian, Jedi Ty, Robert, Cashaback, Amin. Those are just the names I can see right now. What's up? Welcome to everybody. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Super chats are open. Channel memberships are open. I see a bunch of channel members in the chat. All right. So, for those of you who didn't catch it, the announcement behind All In and Absolute was conducted by DC on Wednesday in a video. It wasn't live, it was pre-recorded, but they did a premiere where they showcased it was Scott and Josh, and they showcased All In. And I don't know, Tyler, I know you saw it. Kale, did you watch it?
Nope, I have been avoiding all of it for this moment right now. So everything you're going to get from me is 100% genuine.
All right. I like it. I like it. So I think, first of all, starting off with Scott and Josh was pretty smart. They're both good pitchmen. They know how to sell you on an idea. And I think that they both did that pretty effectively. So what did we learn? We learned that this initiative is kicking off with All In #1, which is dropping in October. And that is where we are going to sort of learn why Absolute is happening, the Absolute universe is happening, and how All In isn't just a promise on behalf of DC. It's also a story. It's also a narrative. It will be written by Scott Snyder and Joshua Williamson. They will each cover a half of the story. And similarly, it will be drawn by Daniel Sampere and Wes Craig. So we knew Wes Craig was going to be involved based on rumors that we had discussed last week. But what we didn't know was that Daniel Sampere would be a part of this as well, or exactly what piece of this Wes would be drawing. So Sampere is handling, it appears, the mainline part. And then Wes Craig is doing the Absolute stuff.
And that's what I like about it. Because I have both key arts that we were given on the screen here, and the Wes Craig one being at the bottom. They're wildly different styles. And I think having that in a book, and I think Scott described the book as a flip book, right? Where you flip the other side and then it's the other part of the book, and they meet in the middle.
Okay.
I like the distinction between the two, and them being in the same book, because the art style differences lend to what the differences in the content of those universes is. I think it looks really good. I haven't seen Wes Craig doing like superhero stuff since like maybe his Guardians run, so it's really cool to see this art.
Yeah, Wes Craig is a superstar.
Good dude too.
Just like Robert Kashabak, who is now a Comics Pal sidekick. Thank you so much, Robert.
Thanks, Robert. Appreciate you, buddy. Let me see those emojis in the chat that you now have access to. So the way it's broken down is that what they describe is that Superman is going to be the POV character for the mainline stuff that Semper will be drawing, and I presume Williamson will be writing. The other side of the story is focused on Darkseid. They described how during Absolute Power, Darkseid senses something based on events that happen in that book that has changed, and it puts him in collision with a new Justice League that Superman is inspired to develop. And that collision is what will ultimately create the Absolute Universe. Scott specifically said that this will, quote, create a story we'll be telling for the next few years. And I think it's interesting to describe it that way. Joshua Williamson followed up by saying, even though we have two worlds, we're telling one big story. So it's kind of like both of these worlds are all like both of them are critical to the overarching narrative that DC is telling. And I don't know if this is true, but I think, or maybe I should just ask, is this the first time that two worlds have been as important on a monthly basis to DC storytelling?
Not at this scale, I don't think. The closest I could think is like New 52 when they open with Earth 2, but those felt kind of.
I would even go as far back as pre-crisis stuff, I think. Just in that they were so important because they hadn't come together yet.
Okay.
You know, and stuff was sort of, you know, the JLA and the JSA were doing things that were building to stuff but hadn't collided yet.
Right. Okay, yeah. So this feels pretty monumental. And even sort of unique because Marvel has never done this either. So I really love that DC is leveraging the fact that they have a multiverse to tell stories across worlds that will be relevant. It's not just, you know, Absolute isn't just an offshoot that has nothing to do with anything. It's critically important. I like that.
MP actually kind of discussed that too. He did super chat for $10. Said with All In, DC finally reconciled the dark, modernizing reboots and classical legacy storytelling after flip flops. Gave examples like Crisis on Infinite Earths versus Infinite Crisis, New 52, and Rebirth. They've revamped the pre-Crisis to Earths idea for this.
Thanks, MP. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I think this is super, super cool. So Scott went on to say, if the main universe is predicated on Superman energy, the metaverse concept from Doomsday Clock and elsewhere, this universe, the Absolute Universe, is created and predicated on Darkseid energy. The Omega beams, they're chaotic, they're wild, and in this universe, the heroes come up in ways that make them underdogs. So I want to take that piece and rip it apart so we can understand what Scott is really saying.
Yeah.
The Omega beams, they're chaotic, they're wild, and in this universe, the heroes come up in ways that make them underdogs. Okay. So the messaging behind the Absolute books has been specific. It references the things that the heroes do not have in this universe. This is Batman, but It's Batman without the butler. It's Batman without the mansion, without the money, without the family. So the question that the book is posing is, who is Batman? Who is Bruce Wayne without those elements? And they appear to be doing that, at least with the 3 books that we have announced for Absolute right now, which are Absolute Batman, which is done by Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta. And that is dropping. That's the first Absolute book that we're getting. We're getting that and Wonder Woman both in October. And then Absolute Superman, or I'm sorry, Absolute Wonder Woman is by Kelly Thompson and Hayden Sherman. Hayden, of course, is from the Dark Spaces book with Scott Snyder.
Yeah,
That's right. That's right.
Which we liked the art on that. Yeah.
Yeah. The art was pretty strong on that.
Yeah. Sorry,
And
we said Batman was Snyder and Dragotta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we already had sort of spoiled ourselves on. Yeah. And then Absolute Superman is coming in November, so it's actually coming after these two, and it's by Jason Aaron and Rafa Sandoval.
Well, it'll look good anyway.
Oh, it's gonna look mighty good. It's gonna look mighty good. And you know what? We talked about Namor this week. I at least really enjoyed it. And that reminded me that Batman Offworld has been pretty solid too. So I feel like, you know what? I'm willing to give Jason Aaron a try. If he's motivated, I think this could be good. I think there's a chance.
And this seems like the creators involved with this whole initiative are motivated for this stuff. So, at least based on the social media. So, we'll see.
I hope. Yeah, I really hope. They talked about how, Wonder Woman is, a book about her without her regality, without the Amazons, without all of those things. Superman is a book where it's with him without family, him without a home. It appears there won't be any Ma and Pa Kent. And so the questions are, who are these heroes without the things that help them be heroes? This is a world created by Darkseid's energy. So it's wild, it's ruthless. Can these characters still become who we know them to be in a world of evil, essentially, in a wild world? I appreciate that they're starting with a core difference between this world and the mainline.
It's literally going in to the character at its core and picking out a cornerstone of it.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna see if the building can stay up with that cornerstone gone.
Yeah. And I think it'll be interesting to see how they take that concept of stripping away things from the heroes when we get away from the big 3, because I'm not sure it's as easy to do when you get to other characters.
How do you do it with Green Lantern?
Exactly.
He's afraid of flying.
Yeah, like that's not, that's not anything.
Afraid of yellow.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
Martian Manhunter. Like, what do you do there?
Yeah, so I guess maybe, they led with these 3 because they're the Trinity, and it makes the most sense in the world. But I'm certainly interested in how they're going to pull this off once we get to Flash and Green Lantern and others.
Is there one of the 3 you're more excited for?
Personally, I want to say Wonder Woman because it's Kelly Thompson, but I think my answer is actually Superman. Okay. Because Superman is going to be, in my mind, would have to be the most different, because without Ma and Pa Kent, what is that? Bruce still has the mission. Apparently, they didn't say that was removed. So, okay, like, whatever, he's poor. What is Superman like without Ma and Pa Kent? He's not Clark. Think about that. He's literally not Clark Kent. He's Superman. He's Kal-El. That's it.
And there's also the whole debate of nature versus nurture that's probably going to be in that as well.
Yeah.
And does he have laser fist? I know in a lot of the art that they've shown for this new long-haired Superman without being a mullet, he's kind of got these like gauntlets almost. I'm wondering if they're shifting his
Yeah.
power set to it instead of be like heat vision. It's, I don't know, typical Superman-esque laser fists. But
I hope that's not what it is, but it could be.
why not? You gotta do something different, right? Maybe he sneezes cold air too. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That Superman thing feels pretty well trodden, I think. Even in this new world.
That was
There's
Flashpoint Superman.
Flashpoint,
Yeah.
it's Another
Oh.
Nail, it's Red Sun, it's I mean, the list could go on. Just not for me. The it's interesting that all three of them have roughly the same core question. We're taking away the hero's support structure. I don't know, there's, I guess, broadly, that it makes sense that that's one question and then you break it down for each character. But there's something, I don't know, maybe it's that framing for me that's just like, oh, I feel like we've seen that. I don't know. It just doesn't with that so in that with all of that said, I think Wonder Woman is the most interesting to me because Wonder Woman is historically, raised on an island full of women. She's, been around forever. She interacts with the gods, blah, blah, blah. I think she's the only one that doesn't have like a clean uh counterpart in our universe, in that story.
Mm.
Thank you to Pete Foltz for gifting a membership. Went to William Malk. Appreciate that.
Thanks a lot, Kefis. And congratulations to William.
Yeah.
A lurker. Love the lurkers.
Love
And
lurkers.
the lurkers are the best. So yeah, I mean, the Wonder Woman aspect of this is pretty interesting. So they're saying she's an archaeologist.
Hmm.
That appears to be the way they're going. She's got a tattoo, a really rad tattoo.
Cool.
And it has Hecate's emblem on it, I believe. So it will be tied into the gods in some way.
Huntress?
Hecate is the three-faced witch. But I like how it looks like, I mean, especially with the art with her riding a zombified Pegasus. Like it seems like it's gonna be leading into the gods aspect of it, which is kind of what I like my Wonder Woman to do. And they don't have it, and it's not in this art, but in some of the other art, she has a giant Buster Sword. So you give anyone a giant Buster Sword, and I'm into it. That's a very simple equation for me.
Hecate is the goddess of magic, crossroads, witchcraft, sorcery, ghosts, and necromancy. So it seems like they might be leaning a little bit into magic for Wonder Woman, which I think is pretty cool.
Interesting.
And not that that hasn't been done before, with JL Dark or whatever, but having her sort of sourced there, I think that's cool.
Yeah, sourced. Nice one.
So for Wonder Woman, the solicit says, without the island paradise, without the sisterhood that shaped her, without a mission of peace, what is left is the absolute Amazon. And she's riding on this, cool ass like Pegasus, like a dark Pegasus horse. And again, she's some kind of archaeologist. I can see how that could tie into the gods. Maybe she's trying to learn about the history or whatever. I think the last time we talked about this, someone referenced how this could tie in pretty well to Cheetah and Barbara Ann Minerva and that origin. So I think this lines up pretty nicely, and short of us getting the run that I think I wanted, and I'm sure a lot of other people wanted, which is Kelly Thompson on mainline Wonder Woman, we can't have that because that book is Tom King's right now. She gets to craft the origin of the absolute Wonder Woman. So I think that's a nice a trade-off, I guess. Comics Are Dope had made a point here that he was a little bummed. He said, "Am I the only one upset these announcements weren't saved for San Diego Comic-Con?" And I've seen that sentiment where, it's kind of like, damn, it would have been nice to get the pop from the crowd, there in that moment, and then let the information trickle out to the internet. And you know what? I mean, I think that would have been cool, but think about the excitement that they have been able to generate going into San Diego Comic-Con because we know all this stuff is coming. Now they can go to San Diego and dig in on answering questions and getting all the information that we need to us that makes this even more exciting. And I'm sure they have announcements coming, but think about the months where we are in. Solicits have to come out. We see that they came out just like the day after this announcement was made. So DC really couldn't hold it back any longer because solicits were going to spoil it regardless. And I think they told us everything they had to count for solicits. And then at San Diego, I have to imagine they have more stuff in the tuck because we don't know the Justice League situation. We can presume pretty strongly that there's one coming because if you look at the what I assume is the cover for All In #1,
Yeah.
it shows you what appears to be a Justice League. If you look at the right-hand side of that picture, it very much suggests to me that is the new Justice League. And for our audio listeners or anybody who's not looking at that right now, let's talk about it. So it's got Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman on it. It's got Martian Manhunter and Flash. I assume, I mean, I can't tell the difference between these fuckers, Wally or Barry. It looks like Barry to me, but I don't know.
No, that'll be Wally.
Wally, okay. So they're pretty typical, and then of course you have Green Lantern, but it's John Stewart. Those are the typical Justice League members. But then we've got Zatanna, who DC's been doing a little bit of stuff with recently, so she's getting the big job. We've got Booster Gold, which is super random. I'm interested in how they're gonna, get him on this team. And Starfire, who's getting an upgrade.
Again. Second time she's been a league member.
Odyssey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of if this is the Justice League? What do you make of this?
Man, I wish people would stop trying to make Booster Gold happen. It's just I don't you know what? I don't care if this is an unpopular opinion. He's just not cool.
I agree.
Stop it.
I mean, I don't know much about him, but I don't like him.
He's not that cool, but I think he's like a writer's favorite character.
Yeah.
Like you look at this team and like you can see exactly where he fits in terms of personality. Like it's a glaring opening there, and he looks like he might be the guy that's out of his league, pun intended. So maybe stuff could come of that, and also you got the show coming up and all that. I'm fine with him being on the team. I like that he's on the team by himself without Blue Beetle, because I bet there's a good bit there that he ditched him. But for me, the Zatanna is really nice to see. And this also makes me think that Williamson is probably doing whatever Justice League book eventually becomes, because Williamson kind of is introducing Zatanna in the most recent issue of Superman, kind of having a integral role in Absolute Power. Notice that Booster Gold and Martian Manhunter kind of showed up in there as well. So it's interesting. I think it's a good lineup. There's also there's two other characters too on the Wes Craig side of things too that I thought were interesting as well. Star Sapphire is on there, which is a weird pick.
Yeah.
And the only image of Aquaman in all of this is hidden in there. So I don't know if they're also part of it. Star Sapphire, I kind of dig though. I just caught up to
that would be a cool shakeup.
I caught up to the current Green Lantern run, and whoever was saying it's really good is right. It is really, really good.
That would be a lot.
It's a,
There's a lot of people on this team. So just based on what the initial image has and the initial cast that I talked about, we've got 3, 6, that's 9 people. And then if you add Aquaman and Star Sapphire, theoretically, that's 11 characters. That to me is way too many.
The animated series had 7.
Yeah. I think for a team in general, like 5 to 7 is, pretty good. When you get past that, you start having characters who don't really get much play.
yeah.
And I fear for that here. I wanted to answer this question also from Comics Are Dope. You guys should check out his YouTube channel, by the way. It's really awesome.
I have been.
Good.
I've been surfing that BJ's channel all week. It's the only comic book channel I watch. I don't even watch ours.
Ringing endorsement. Comics Are Dope says, is it better to be a channel member or a Patreon patron? I need to make the plunge. I love to answer this question. So because of the fact that YouTube takes quite a bit more of a chunk than Patreon does. Patreon is the absolute best way to support the show. And that's where we try to give as much as we can back, That's how we give out the superhero and supervillain nicknames and the origins and everything else. So I feel like Patreon is really the hub for our biggest fans to show support for the show and get as much access as possible. But thank you for asking. I really appreciate that.
And lately, the Patreon has been interacting with each other. The universes have been crossing, as it were, in the Discord. So if you want to jump in that, stuff's popping off.
Yeah. MP says, I think the key to a good Justice League run is a mix of A and B list characters. I agree. I completely agree. I think that's valid. I think that, we've seen the Big Seven concept, and it's been done a lot, I assume. So mixing in some newcomers, I think, is great. I mean, if you look at this roster, for the most part, they're giving us the characters we would expect to see with just a few differences. If you could remove one person who's typical from this roster, and for typical, I would say Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, Flash, and Green Lantern. Who would you remove and who would you replace them with? Just one, for the sake of this.
Oh, and replace them. That's interesting.
Well, if it's Barry, I would replace him with Wally.
No Flash, dude. Just somebody else. Come
on. I'd probably have to replace Martian Manhunter, honestly. I'd probably give that, Martian Manhunter always gives off that the elder type. He always feels like Beast in a way for the X-Men. I would replace him with like Dr. Fate, something a little different.
Ooh. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna twist your question slightly. I'm gonna get rid of Superman, and I'm gonna give the leader position to Martian Manhunter. And then I'm going to put Wildcat in his place.
Oh, my God.
No, I see it. I see the vision.
What the fuck is Wildcat going to do against Darkseid? I need to know.
Punch him.
Gotta punch him. Square in his nose.
Don't even think. Right in the beef.
Ooh, right in the beef.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. I think I'm getting rid of Martian Manhunter because, truthfully, who cares?
Oh, y'all got to see the potential of Martian Manhunter.
And, I mean, listen, dude, you want to put Wildcat on the team. Let's not even discuss it. And
don't even.
Not
worth it. Don't take the bait. I'm not taking the bait. Marco's not here.
You shouldn't.
I don't have to take the bait.
And I'm gonna put Shazam on this team. This team to me is about, big power and real heroics. And I think Shazam, being a child, embodies the spirit of what the mainline DC is about. and a perfect counterpoint to Absolute and what that's about.
And that slight lean into magic with Zatanna
Yes.
adding into Wonder Woman and Shazam.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't hate it.
Batman could always use another child soldier. I see it.
Chat getting in on it too. Robert Cashback says replace Martian Manhunter with Plastic Man. Okay.
Oh.
How about, can we replace
Good
Booster
call.
with Plastic Man? Because I feel like they're
Oh,
both the
yes.
same type of, role, and Plastic Man's just more fun.
I do think the lineup
with that.
in both iterations that we've seen here are missing like the young POV character that I feel like a lot of Justice League lineups have. Maybe Zatanna can fill that. Starfire can kind of fill that. But I'm thinking of like, when Jaime Reyes joined the team, or when what's the Bendis creation? She had her own show.
Naomi.
Naomi.
That's funny. That's exactly who I was thinking of when you said that. I was like, nah, don't do that. That's got Naomi heat. I'm not interested.
Who else? Brian Adkins says Martian Manhunter was gone for a decade and no one cared. We're upsetting the DC like most loyal in the chat right now by shitting on Martian Manhunter. I get it. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. When I started reading DC comics, Martian Manhunter was nowhere to be found. And my man is scared of fire. So, fuck him. Let's see. MP with the $5 super chat says, I think they might be doing a multi-team Justice League approach like Snyder's No Justice, and these characters represent these: Trinity, Titans, JLI, Justice League Dark, etc. Interesting.
I see that, yeah. Someone earlier said that Morrison's it was MP, imagine that. Morrison's run had 14 members and didn't use the big 7 all the time. The JLA is a professional organization, not a found family. It has reserve rosters and subdivisions. I like that.
Hey, I'm no Justice League aficionado, so I don't know anything about that. I'm just fan casting. I still have to get to that run.
Oh, I'd recommend. I think you'd really like it, Sean.
Yeah. Hound was gracious enough to gift it to me for my birthday, so I will definitely be diving into it. Yeah, I'll get around to it eventually because I love Morrison. So okay, Absolute, we've pretty much nailed it down as far as what that's going to be, what we know of it. Are you guys more excited, less excited, the same level of excited about Absolute now that we kind of know, what it's made of?
I'm whelmed, I think, neither over or under. Because these are, I mean, yes, there have been spoilers for it. Thanks, Rich Johnson, and I mean that literally, Jenk. Thanks. But what I'm curious about is the other characters, like what, because you're gonna get a Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman. That is just understood. Where my excitement can come from is seeing what wackier shit we can get into. Like, we know Al Ewing is doing something. I want to see what wacky shit he's up to. So that's where I can be excited there. Right now, I'm like pretty even keel.
I think that's, yeah, I would say I wouldn't say I'm more excited, but I think I'm more interested. I wouldn't say I'm all in, but I'm leaning in.
Okay, all right. I'm all in. I'm all in on Absolute. I think it's pretty exciting. It's pretty fun. I like that it's not the original Ultimate Universe that had no reason to exist. It just did. I like that there's a narrative reason for this to exist. I think that's perfect for DC. I mean, obviously there are a lot of echoes between that and the way that Marvel did their new Ultimate Universe. And so if it does feel like a, hey, can we copy your homework type of thing? But I kind of feel like this will be more integrated. I think Marvel's was more like, we need a springboard to get this new universe off. Whereas I think this will be more integrated storytelling. I don't expect them to cross over for some time, but I do expect them to sort of echo each other in some way, and we'll get the crossover payoff down the road.
It does smell like crossover potential. I would say within 5 years.
We called it.
Yeah.
Absolute Crisis.
Yeah. 100%.
And not only that, like compared to the Ultimate, original Ultimates, this one has more of a showrunner feel to it, where it's like, all right, there is a skeleton and a layout that we have planned. There seems to be plans within this. Whereas, like, when did Ultimate Spider-Man even cross over with any of the other Ultimates books? Probably a while into the run. But this one seems like absolute, like they have a plan going on there, and there's almost like a writer's room, which has what it's been described as, right? A writer's room.
Yeah.
I think Al Ewing,
Scott's been all over that for a while.
this is kind of what I've been wanting at Marvel too, like something more integrated, where it felt like there was more of a shell and like framework to things.
A lot of people saying they're all in the chat. I love to see it. I love the excitement, guys. Like, this is why we read comics. It's not why we read comics. This is why we read Big Two comics. It's for this big, exciting, overarching, cool stuff that only Marvel and DC can really provide. I mean, now we have Energon. They're kind of getting into that and doing it, but they don't have the decades and decades and decades of history with these characters that we've been reading about for so long. It's for me at least, it's super exciting. Andrew Smith says, more excited, but my wallet is afraid. As it should be, dude.
What was funny is, like, as I was watching the video, Sean, which was really cool, DC to put like a YouTube video up. It was like, oh, like this is the space we were in. Like the chat was cool, seeing like Comic Pop in there. That was neat. But I like how Williamson, when we interviewed him, it was very much like, oh man, I got too much on my plate. I gotta like drop some things. And like now he's like, oh, I'm kind of spearheading two giant comic book universes at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's got a ton on his plate.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Do you guys want to hear, or do you not want to hear, the rumors for some more Absolute books?
Yeah. I do. Does the chat?
Yeah.
I do.
Marco,
Chat?
put up a poll. Oh, wait.
No, I mean, I assume chat wants to hear about it.
Yeah.
Columbo said need to see that Al Ewing heat. We
That
have
probably already knows him.
we have some potential here.
Yeah.
We have some potential. Bleeding Cool.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's do it. So Bleeding Cool suggests that we will be getting Absolute Flash from Jeff Lemire.
Call that one. Yeah.
Right. Al Ewing on Absolute Green Lantern.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
And Dennis Camp on, believe it or not, Absolute Martian Manhunter.
Oh hell yeah.
All right, so
What's he gonna be without Oreos? Let's go.
I think they're Hydroxes, Cal. But I wonder what government power Martian Manhunter is going to be fighting up against. It's going to be dealing with ICE and the idea of illegal aliens.
Hopefully it's democracy. Let's go. I said it.
I can't even believe that Martian Manhunter is getting a book. Like, that is definitely one of those curveball picks.
Yeah.
That no one really saw coming.
I think he's underutilized, and especially in the animated series era, like every Martian Manhunter episode was solid. He's just, I think he's unfortunate in that his powers are very close to Superman. And it's, so no, any good take goes to Superman versus the Martian Manhunter.
I mean, I really like the way Manhunter was portrayed in New Frontier.
Yeah.
It's one of the best parts of that book.
Yeah, I think Martian Manhunter getting a book is pretty cool, despite the trolling that I was doing earlier. I do kind of like him, and I think he needs to be spotlighted a little bit more. So this is nice that he's getting this shot. I'm very curious as to what the Green Lantern situation is going to be. Who is the Green Lantern? Is it a core or is it just one person? You know, like if let's say it's Hal, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. Do they exist among a larger group of Green Lanterns, or is this a story where that doesn't exist? Because so far they've been taking things away from the heroes.
Yeah.
So what do you take from a Green Lantern? You can't take the ring away. That's the power set. So what can you take?
Military?
I was thinking that what if like he wasn't chosen for the ring and he stole it? Like he sees Abin Sur's crash thing, and like the whole idea is that Hal has this willpower and he stole it. I mean, and he earned the ring right there and then. But what if he isn't the most, you know, strongest person in the world? Maybe, I mean, I'm assuming it's Hal. I'm going off of Hal's origin, and that could lend to like a little bit of a darker turn. Like if this, somebody who is not supposed to get all this power suddenly does.
I can see that, I guess, like a Green Lantern
right.
without the will, but then will the ring respond to you if you're not able to wield it?
I mean,
It's not, well, no, but it's the will isn't, you know, it's not a good versus evil machine. You know, it's all
Right.
about, you know, you
Will.
create what you want. You know, that's how, so you know, Sinestro made Quard
yep.
a fascist state with his ring.
See. Atomic Hound says, is this true? I genuinely don't know. Oa exists in only one dimension, like Apocalypse and New Genesis.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's
Oh,
crazy.
I thought it was a planet.
If that's the case, then I think that's really interesting, because then that would imply to me in my mind that this is a universe that would not have lanterns, Green Lanterns. So how does one acquire a lantern ring in that scenario? Does it come from the mainline universe, and Hal or whomever is the one person who finds and is chosen for this ring? I think that is actually really cool, and I think that has to be the way. One lantern in this world, this universe that has no others, and no base, no place to go, no one to learn the ropes from, no one to teach you. One person. I love it.
Columbo goes where I was going to go, and it's like, oh, we're thinking the wrong way. This is actually Alan Scott, and it's a magic ring.
Amin explained further. It's a planet at the center of the universe. So there's only one Oa in the multiverse, which makes sense because deep in the Guardians' history, guys, you'll have to help me with what they are. They created the Manhunters and dedicated themselves to like the protection of the universe, because one member of their society decided to reach out to see the creation of the universe, and like actually saw the hand of, you know, quote unquote, the creator, and like saw it and set a whole chain of events off.
Green Lantern's weird right now, though, because I think both PKJ and Jeremy Adams are kind of reestablishing that, and like I don't want to say retcon. That feels like a strong word. But if you read the current runs, there is some origins to Green Lanterns that we did not really know about, and there is some stuff about Oa that we did not know about.
But maybe they're sort of setting up the puzzle, teaching us the keys to the puzzle so that we can figure it out as we go.
One of the things that's in the solicits in October, and it's not one of the books we're talking about, but there is a giant Green Lantern special that is going to pretty much reestablish exactly what Green Lanterns are. So
we've got 60 plus of you. Chat is moving fast and furious. I can't hardly even keep up with it all. Thank you guys for participating. and leaving your thoughts with us. Make sure you smash that like button. Super chat comments make it really easy to see and get to. So if you want your comment to be heard, that's the best way to make it happen. I need to say a huge thank you right now to Orseus. I hope I'm saying that right, and I'm really sorry if I'm not. Because Orseus has joined us on Patreon and is now one of the best pals in the multiverse. Thank you
Ooh.
so much. That is our highest tier. Really appreciate you doing that. You will be getting your origin next week. And I really hope that you enjoy being a part of our Patreon. That is, I mean, we really couldn't ask for any more. So thank you so much.
Wow, thank you.
And please, if you're listening to us, make yourself known in the chat so we can celebrate you now. You may not have an origin, but I would love to celebrate you anyway. So thank you. Love when we get to add new members while we're live. That is my favorite thing.
Just to add on to that Green Lantern chat and what Tyler said, MP says there's a solicit for October called Green Lantern Civil Corps Special. Seems main DCU embracing the many-colored Lantern Corps. So Absolute GL having only one Lantern who can't go to OA is perfect contract.
Oh, come on. We've got it.
Rules.
We've solved it. That's it. That's what it is. It's one Lantern. That's so fucking cool if that's the route that they go. I love it.
So since we figured it out, I'm so pumped and I have to read it.
Like a lone gunman, in a way.
Yes. Easy clap. Hell yeah, sarcastic Enchilada. You got it, dude. All right. So we talked about the absolute possibilities, and I do think that they are interesting. But there's a whole other side of this. We've been talking for almost an hour, and there's a whole other side of this we haven't even gotten into yet. Because, as we said, the solicits did drop. And so we know what DC is doing in October with all their other books. So many shifting creative teams, new teams joining these books, new artists. It's really exciting. There's a whole other side of this. So we're going to get into that right here. Oh, perfect. Orseus is in the chat. Orseus's name on here is Walviscus. Hopefully I said that correctly. Love you guys. Thanks for all the great content. You are more than welcome. Thank you so much for supporting what you love. We all do it every week, right? With buying comics, we go and we buy our books and we support what we love. And doing this is an extension of that. You guys supporting the Patreon or the YouTube channel membership is an extension, supporting what you love. If we do something good for you that enriches your life, what you did for us is the exact same thing. It's that kickback. So thank you so much. Kefis says, I hate that. The corpse is what makes the GL interesting. Huh. All right. Well, I would love to just stick on that for just a quick moment, because my thought process is it's not going away. Like, we're getting it still in mainline, and it's there, and you can read Green Lantern there. And I'm assuming there'll probably be more than one Green Lantern book mainline. But then in Absolute, which is a universe about what these heroes now lack, right? Inspired by the power of Darkseid, I think being able to do something radical, that's the place for that, right? Like, that's what, I mean, am I wrong? It's all a matter of opinion, of course, but like, I would think that's the place to do that.
I think Absolute Comics in general is the place to do something radically different. And if they're taking away core elements of the characters.
I think it also it gives Al a chance to really stretch his legs on, similar to the resurrection of Magneto, and do like a real hard look at Hal Jordan and what makes a Green Lantern. Not even Hal Jordan, what makes Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
What does willpower look like when you are actually the only person standing?
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
And what it,
Cliff Hopkins makes a good point. If this is a world designed by Darkseid, the absolute universe, then I can see him not wanting Green Lanterns around. Yeah, I think I'm not sure if like Darkseid is architecting it the way that the Maker did, but if it's inspired by his power, right, the Omega beams, and that power is inherently like dark and twisted and evil, then I would imagine that it would result in a universe that doesn't have the hope and the will and the the good things that allow Earth One to thrive.
Can we talk about that briefly? The Superman energy and the dark side energy. I don't think I understand that except maybe metaphorically.
So the Superman energy was the idea was that the universe exists and is predicated on Superman's like vibe. What he gives
Yeah.
off, what he is, who he is inspiring, and that's sort of the nature of mainline DC. So it really is something you're supposed to think about metaphorically, I think, in that aspect. But
Okay.
with absolute, I do think it is coming from the Omega beams, literally having a part in crafting the absolute universe, and that it is inspired by his energy. So I think in that,
Dark side's energy.
yeah, Darkseid's energy. So I think in the absolute example, it is almost one to one that his power creates it, not maybe not intentionally, but that is what happens, and that it's juxtaposed with the main line, which isn't created by anybody, but it's sort of leans into Superman being the anchor of that world.
Inspired by
Yes.
Superman. Okay.
Right. And he also specifically mentioned Doomsday Clock and the what's it called? The meta-human theory, um the metaverse theory, whatever it is. Yeah, the metaverse concept created from Doomsday Clock and elsewhere.
Hmm.
So he specifically said that, Scott did. And I think that there has to be some reason why he brought that up.
well, that's specifically talking about. That's a lot of the stuff Morrison brought up in their multiversity stuff as well. So I think
Mhm.
that probably just ties into the fact that this is part of a multiversal world that is still within the mainline universe, like the mainline multiverse, with main continuity still being Prime Earth. Unless something big happens there and it's not Prime Earth and there's like Prime Earth A and B now, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I love the fact that we're sitting here talking about this, and we have so many questions yet.
Yeah.
That's why comics are dope brought up like being disappointed in these announcements being made, and I'm not, because there's still so much to dissect and learn yet about how this happened and what is happening.
I'm not bummed about it coming out this week because it means we get to do this show and talk about all of it now and then double dip next week when we get more information.
Yeah, and I assume there's a lot more to come. Let's talk about the solicits that we got for the month of October and how they illustrate this new DC universe that we're going to be getting into. Scott Snyder ended the video this week. Well, before I get to how he ended it, I wanted to make this point as well. He said that it's all one big story, all in is one big story, and that there is no reboot and no retcon. So I wanted to make that statement because Scott said it multiple times that there is no reboot and no retcon. So for anybody who is listening to this and is thinking, oh, it's just a reboot or it's just a retcon, it is not. This is story. This is, sequential month-to-month storytelling that feeds off of what has come before. This is spinning directly out of absolute power. And this is, DC's wider initiative going forward. There is no reboot or retcon whatsoever. Absolute is just a beginning point for a new iteration of established characters, but the characters that we know and love will still exist. They will still be there, and you can read your version of Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman every month in mainline, and nothing will be changed about them. So I just wanted to make that point.
the way I heard that or processed that initial sort of pitch for the universe, Darkseid wakes up and feels something different. That feels like the first page to me. Darkseid wakes up and he's like, "Ooh, hang on," and then all of a sudden, like he's the only person that knows stuff is wrong.
Darkseid is feeling a little weird today. Is
Yeah.
how that book starts.
my man got up on the wrong side of it.
That was good. I appreciate that one. That was good.
Oh man. Rock Sanchez, I love that, says, give me more John Stewart, even if it's with the corpse. A run of Soranek Natu and the Yellow Lanterns, Razor and Aya, or Saint Walker and the Blue Lanterns. The GL lore is large enough to hold its own. And I think we're probably going to see some of that in mainline. I would guarantee John Stewart's not going anywhere, especially after how good the PKJ stuff has been. So I think if you're a Green Lantern fan, mainline has some stuff coming your way soon.
Yeah, and Jeremy Adams is dealing with Ceramic and Razor at this point too. So like even your side characters, they're going to be touched on.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into the all-in initiative mainline aspect. So a lot of the books are not changing, and we're not going to address books that aren't changing. So Batman, Wonder Woman, those books are going to stay as they are. And if we don't mention it, it's because nothing is different or nothing is meaningfully different, not different enough to address here.
Batman's not changing.
No, Batman is not changing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Chip. You thought
surprised?
Yeah. Chip was leaving?
I thought we were toward the end of his business.
All of the books, I think, are having fresh new jumping on points in October, even if the team doesn't change. So I think that's why we had exactly. I think that's why we had such a with the most recent Chip issues where things just felt like, all right, he's wrapping up his run.
Yeah.
Because it really was a resetting of the chess pieces on the board.
I don't know. I don't know that that's the case, because this is picking up with the Riddler, where he left off with the Riddler.
Well, and that was one of the only lingering plot threads that we talked about when
and they're immediately getting to it. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Green Lantern is going to be continuing from where it is. Jeremy Adams even was like, I wouldn't say this is a jumping on point for new people, because we're doing some crazy stuff over here. I don't feel like these are jumping on points. I feel like DC is saying that, but the books that are keeping their creative teams are keeping their stories. So they're not, from what I could tell from the solicits, they're not doing table set for new people to jump on. Birds of Prey is still doing what Birds of Prey's been doing. Like, it's all staying the same.
I think at least, though, they're going to be new arcs.
New arcs.
At minimum, yeah.
Milkbone Crusader says, I know I'm one of like 10 people enjoying most of the mainline stuff, but we'll check out Absolute for sure. Dude, I think if you're enjoying mainline DC, you're right at home here, because most people everybody on this panel and most of our community loves what DC's doing right now.
We're the DC Comics pals. It's not. No, we've been having a great time in DC. Marvel's just like, it's just not hitting the same way right now, but DC is just really working for most of us. I think it's safe to say.
Yeah, DC's on fire. All right, so again, we're skipping Batman and all that good stuff. The first book we're going to talk about that's really going to be undergoing a little bit of a change is Superman by Joshua Williamson, being joined by Dan Mora. So Dan Mora has left World's Finest, at least for the time being.
Mark Waid's check stopped clearing, and he's moving over to Superman.
So he's going to be joining the Superman side of things. Superman is the big book. DC is really solidifying Superman as like the main title to read, and they got their main artist on it.
Wonder why.
I don't know why.
Do you know?
No, because they're coming a movie coming out next year too. That's kind of centering around the entire universe. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought one of you would pick that one up. Okay.
I didn't at all.
Okay.
Actually, I was like, oh, or is it? Do you think maybe he'll be the lead for the Absolute
I mean, he's the main character of DC. I don't need to wonder why it's
Yeah.
Superman. So we're getting a Superwoman, and that is spinning out of absolute power. And they tried to make it a mystery as to who it is. It's Lois.
Yeah, Williamson
I don't
said
even know
it.
why they bothered.
Who else could it be? She's on the cover. Like,
Yeah, it's clearly Lois. And they're going to be facing off against Doomsday, who we already know is on his way back from hell. That was teased at the end of House of Brainiac. So that's the direction that Josh is taking the book in. But this is really like the core DC book right now. And I love that for Superman. I think that is exactly how it should be. Shy of Justice League, Superman should be the main book.
yeah, I'm with that.
I'm not sure how I feel about Lois being Superwoman again. If it's just a temporary thing, sure. But I kind of like the dynamic where she's, just a normal woman who's super normal.
Same.
Tell you what, it's gonna make being a major metropolitan newspaper editor a lot easier.
Or harder.
Yeah, it's
She's going to have to report on herself.
unethical.
Clark does that all the time.
That's fair. That he does. So yeah, I'm excited. Superman's been great, so I expect that with Dan Mora on art, it'll be at least just as good. Action Comics is up next. Big changes to Action Comics. So Action Comics 1070 is going to be the start of a new era. Superman All Stars is for the birds. And it's going to be weekly starting in October.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Damn.
Mark Waid and Clayton Henry telling one story, and then Mariko Tamaki and Skylar Partridge telling another story with weekly editions.
The cover has Mon-El showing up on it, and I'm excited to see Mon-El again. It's been a while since I saw that dude. And the Phantom Zone guy, who I always forget, he's got like the bandages on his face. Kale, do you remember his name?
I think it's Zadu. This is the first time not the first time. No. This announcement is the first time I've heard of this guy. Phil gave me a lowdown on him, and I am pumped. This dude sounds cool as hell.
Yeah, it's real cool.
So quickly, his whole thing is he's the first person that was ever trapped in the Phantom Zone. So he's become sort of a king of hell type of character. And that just screams cool ass super. Like I'm more excited for this guy than I am Doomsday. More like Snooze Day.
Wow. So the solicit reads, an otherworldly horror tearing its way through Metropolis has emerged from the Phantom Zone. I presume that's the guy you're talking about. Something's wrong in the zone, something terrible, and Superman must enter alone to find out what. Okay. And then in the Supergirl, or the other piece, which is Supergirl focused, the Woman of Tomorrow is here today. Supergirl specials Mariko Tamaki and Skylar Partridge return to bring Kara to the farthest reaches of space in pursuit of a mysterious threat only she can handle. So they're actually taking her off Earth.
Good move.
I like it. I like it a lot.
So
go ahead.
Essentially, this is a Action Comics and Supergirl books that are bi-weekly. I'm okay with that. I think that is. When you first announced it, because I didn't know about the weekly part, and I heard Mark Waid doing a weekly book. I'm like, oh no, that's too much for one guy. But no, I'm cool with this. I'm cool with this. And Clayton Henry, you said, right?
Yeah.
He did the John Kent Superman book, which was actually really nice, real good stuff. So pretty excited for it.
Every issue is weekly, continuing the stories of both books, or both stories. So it is Mark Waid weekly.
Is it main story backup or split in half? Do we know?
It says plus.
Probably split in half.
Okay.
I would imagine split in half, but the writing of this makes me feel like it is backups.
I would also say it will. We'll find out based on the price point too.
Yeah. Well, are they teasing price? Yeah, $5. $5, 40 pages. That sounds like backup territory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A slightly longer backup.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the Superman side of things. Green Arrow is getting a brand new creative team. Chris Condon and Montos are going to be taking over Green Arrow.
That's a team.
Chris Condon, what's he done? I can't recall.
Enfield Gang Massacre.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
That was
And
very good.
okay.
That Texas Blood, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Which is real good stuff. And then Montos has been doing some really killer work with War Journal. Also, like a name like Montos, like you sound like a DC character at this point. Like you got to stay here and do your thing.
They're on Green Arrow?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And Green Arrow's whole family is a thing again. So like the whole Arrow family is relevant in comics again.
Post Absolute Power, will it be?
Fair.
I think Canary's gonna kick his ass. Oh, she's gonna be mad.
Wish that was me.
Great point. That is a great point.
He's inside job.
So the solicit for this one reads, first of all, it's a special anniversary issue, so we will be paying $4.99. But the solicit reads, this oversized issue features the aftermath of Oliver Queen's role in Absolute Power, while also setting the stage for his next chapter. First, Oliver Queen did the unthinkable to protect his family, and now must deal with the ramifications of his actions. Will his family and friends forgive him? Then, get ready for the opening chapter of the Emerald Archer's next adventure from the creative team that I just laid out. Okay, and Joshua Williamson is going to write this as well. So it looks like it's going to be like a passing of the torch within the issue.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's fine. Yeah, I like that. Especially, I've really been liking Williamson's Green Arrow run. So to kind of see more of a clear line between the two creative teams is fun.
I would love an arc where Ollie has to deal with his betrayal with each member of the family, with Canary looming over him.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's not too far off what the book actually is right now, too.
He's going to get his ass kicked.
Yeah, he is. She gonna whoop him.
Kefis says he is most excited about this announcement, which doesn't surprise me because I have seen Kefis dressed as Green Arrow and his wife dressed as Black Canary. So, of course, this would be your most exciting announcement. Kefis, you're married to Black Canary, and you are Green Arrow. And by the way, what you did in Absolute Power, what you have done,
Unforgivable.
Wow.
Unforgivable. She gonna kick your ass.
You better talk to your wife.
I'm with you, Kefis.
And you better hope she don't do it with them heels.
You better hope she doesn't get to yelling. If she raises her voice at you, boy, it's a wrap. Next up, we've got Titans. So Tom Taylor is exiting stage left and being replaced by a team of John Layman and Pete Woods. John Layman of Chew fame,
yeah.
I want to say, is going to be taking over the book. Sorry?
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. And the solicit reads, A League of Their Own. Yeah. After the events of Absolute Power, the team looks towards the future and their place in it. Will their failure to control Amanda Waller mean lasting consequences for the hero community? Okay. If you've been listening to this show for long enough to have heard our thoughts on Titans, then this solicit vindicates everything that we've been saying on this show about the Titans. The relaunch, for me, was a fail because it did not elevate the Titans at all. That seemed to be the promise after Dark Crisis, and it didn't accomplish its goal at all. And this solicit suggests that because they failed to stop Amanda Waller, and now they need to figure out what their place in the world is because the solicit doesn't say this, but I will. There's a new Justice League. So the Titans are invalidated again with nothing having been gained. What a disaster for DC. That sucks.
Yeah, and every one of these characters deserves that level up, and they just refuse to give it to him.
Well,
Yeah.
looks like Starfire might be getting the level up, but not anyone else.
I mean, for how long? She's
Yeah,
like
true.
we said, she's had it before.
And she's on this list. She's on this cover. So
Yeah.
Yep.
theoretically, she's in the book. So she's going to be doing double duty, maybe.
No Beast Boy on the cover, huh?
Yeah. You're reading Titans? Is he there?
I'm not reading Titans.
Oh. Oh, okay.
No, I'm not.
He said, "Don't pay me with that brush."
No, not me.
My bad.
Yeah, replaced by Roy in on this cover.
Who
That's
just has a gun now?
Well, he also goes by Arsenal. Like,
I guess so. Yeah. It's whatever.
Yeah, what's he gonna use? A BB gun. Detective Comics is getting a change. Rom V is exiting that book after a successful period on it and being replaced by Tom Taylor. The aforementioned Tom Taylor, who is leaving the Titans in shambles, is moving on over to Detective to be joined by superstar artist Mikkel Jenin.
well, at least the forest fires in Gotham will at least they'll look really good.
The Janet art that has come out that he's posted looks pretty damn good. There's some like flashback pages with Bruce's parents. That's like almost like in this Art Nouveau type look to it. And then the present day stuff just looks good. Janet constantly shifts his style just a tad each time he's on a new book, and it's noticeable.
Milkbone Crusader says there's no Justice League book solicited, right? So they won't get back together after Absolute Power. I think the reason why there's no Justice League book solicited is because they are launching it in November. That is my belief. And we will hear about it at San Diego.
Uncaged says Beast Boy is in Titans. He's fighting Apex Ava. Raven said such dark stuff about it.
Okay.
He's listening to My Chemical Romance and wearing eyeliner. He's got the dark thoughts.
So in the solicit, we do learn that, in fact, Detective will not feature forest fires, thankfully. But this is what it does read. Long ago, the murders of Thomas and Martha Wayne changed Gotham forever. But there is something you never knew about the Dark Knight's tragic origin, which has been lying in wait to strike at Batman ever since that fateful night in Crime Alley. And now, all these years later, the ghost of Gotham's past begins to reveal itself. Holy shit. This was the longest night in the history of Gotham because so many things have come out in the aftermath of that fateful incident in Crime Alley.
Has the longest night been the name of a miniseries for Black Label at all yet?
I don't think so, but I think it should be the name of a Batman story that is just about every single thing that happened in Gotham in Crime Alley.
That, you know what? That would be a pretty interesting story, actually.
You want to write it? We could team up.
I would write it. Yeah.
Right.
And, as long as Tom Taylor's like, hey guys, TM. That's
ours. We've got Batman and Robin getting an overhaul. Joshua Williamson announced that he was leaving that title a few weeks ago. And so he is exiting to be replaced by Philip Kennedy Johnson and Javier Fernandez.
interesting.
That is a team.
That's not the book I was hoping for.
No.
I was hoping for PKJ on a Batman book. I don't know if Batman and Robin was the one I was thinking about, but I would like to see what he can do in Gotham. I don't think it's I haven't seen him touch that yet, so curious about it.
So the solicit reads that like this is going to be more of a Damian book. It says Damian Wayne is the son of the Bat, grandson of the Demon, and Robin, but as he nears the age at which his father traveled the world, how old is this fucking kid? One question is on his mind. Who is Damian outside of the crusades his family has tasked him with fighting since birth. When he starts to look beyond his life of endless violence, a different way to help the world begins to present itself. But when an enigmatic new murderer begins reenacting traumatic crimes from Gotham's history, you gotta be kidding me. Oh my god, he's gonna reenact Crime Alley. Batman will need Robin more than ever before. Okay.
Dad, no. Take a look around you. Tell me 5 things you can see. Do you feel your feet on the ground? What are you touching? Do you smell anything?
What?
That's how you get people out of like anxiety and PTSD spirals.
That gave me PTSD, Cal. Thank you.
Hey, listen.
So yeah, I mean that sounds interesting enough. I really I think the fact that PKJ is only on one of these books says to me that screams that we don't know everything.
I mean, we haven't gotten Rom's book, so we there's still more to come for sure.
Yeah, and again, this is only October solicits, so
I feel like anyone whose name is not on this list has something major coming. And that could be me coping and hoping for PKJ on Justice League. But damn it, that's what I'm saying. I think that's the announcement we're getting in November.
I think you're huffing on that copium.
So who do you say?
I think it's Williamson.
Mm.
It's almost like he deserved that book and they took it from him for a couple years, like right after Dark Crisis. Like it just made sense for him to do Justice League after that. And then he didn't.
it's so boring.
I'm liking his Superman run. I'm liking his Energon stuff. I think his output is pretty good right now.
It's probably him, but what are you gonna do? We also have Batman and Robin Year One.
Hooray! The longest year.
Wait for it.
The longest year. It's true, man. Like, how much more? We just had Robin and Batman Year One a couple years ago. That was actually pretty good. So this is going to be by Mark Waid and Chris Somney.
Yeah,
I like that.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Strong creative team.
One of my favorite creative teams of all time.
Chris Somney, did they team up on the World's Finest Titans book?
Daredevil was their big thing, and
I think Somni did some covers.
Did covers for that,
but yeah, their famous collab is Daredevil.
I think they might have done some black and white stuff too.
So yeah, that's a book we can expect. I don't have the actual solicit in front of me, but that's a great creative team. So I imagine that they're going to do great things together. We've also got Nightwing. Nightwing will be continuing, but with a brand new creative team.
Funny.
Tom, sorry?
That's funny. You said Nightwing, but
oh my god. Do you think I would make that kind of a joke? That is so crude. So Nightwing is going to be continuing, and we are getting a brand new creative team of Dan Waters and Dexter Soy.
Soy Boys Unite. Let's go.
Dexter Soy is crazy talented.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Batman and the Outsiders, I think it was. Yeah, with Brian Hill.
Yeah.
Wow. Knockout art.
Do you remember his art on Captain Marvel when that first started? When Carol first got the new suit? It's like when she first transitioned to like Captain Marvel. Oh man, that art was dynamic. Just so much kineticism to it. That's the word.
Yeah. I'm going to have to start reading Nightwing. I love this creative team.
I don't feel for them having to follow up Tom Taylor's run because that is so
beloved.
Yeah. and probably the longest straight like creative team on a Nightwing book that I can think of. What, 50 issues, right?
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, but
Consistently, I don't know, maybe.
yeah. No, I'm with you in sentiment for sure.
Amin says, "Wait, Dick Grayson is Nightwing? I thought Bruce was Nightwing forever." Yeah. I've seen that image floating around. Is that from this week's issue of Nightwing?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Yeah. So we can say it. Bruce replaced Dick as Nightwing because I assume it's because, well, I actually don't know at all, but I assume it has something to do with this Circunar fucking horse shit, and that Bruce now has to step into the role, which is playing off of what happened to Batman in R.I.P. and then Dick stepping into the role after Battle for the Cow. You have to be fucking kidding me. Is this a serious run or is it unserious?
I'm not reading it. I'm only going off of going off of what my understanding of Circunar was. So this could be, I mean, nothing. I thought that was only a one issue thing, and he basically talked himself out of Circunar.
Yeah, I don't think this is tying into the Circunar stuff, but I just don't know how Batman fit in that thing. I don't like seeing Batman in a costume without a cowl. It just looked weird to me.
Unbelievable. Circunar. Fuck that. MP says Williamson has Superman and is good there. I don't see him as the Justice League writer. TBH. And you know what? I'm convinced that MP works for DC, so he's probably telling the truth.
Oh, interesting. Who's in charge? Man, they really don't give us the editor in chief at DC the way they do it at Marvel.
It's Marie Javins.
Yeah.
It's who?
Marie Javins.
I don't know who that is.
What?
I don't know who that is.
Okay.
She maybe she has an alternate persona like Akira Yoshida.
All right. So the solicit reads Bloodhaven has erupted in violence as rival gangs vie to fill the power vacuum left by Nightwing's cleanup of corrupt officials. But is an outside force turning the gangs against each other, escalating the violence in Bloodhaven toward even more sinister ends? To find out, Nightwing must do the unthinkable, no matter the cost. Don't miss the start of this groundbreaking new arc that will redefine what it means to be a hero. Okay. Very good.
Solicit seems par for the course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've got Catwoman, which Catwoman and Harley are both thankfully getting new creative teams. Ripped from the clutches of Teenie Howard. Both books will be getting new creative teams. Catwoman by one of my favorites, Torn Gronbeck, and Fabiana Mascolo. They will be taking on the Catwoman series. I'm pretty excited for that. Torn Gronbeck talked about how this book was going to be different than anything she's ever done before. So I'm looking forward to that. The solicit reads, Selena Kyle does not know why the attempt on her life was made, nor does she know who ordered it. As she desperately searches for clues as to who has suddenly orchestrated this lethal manhunt against her, one thing becomes abundantly clear. The answers don't lie in her life as Catwoman of Gotham City. To save her own life, Selena Kyle must re-enter the world of a sinister international syndicate that years ago helped her to transform into the world's foremost thief. A tale of identity, broken alliances, and pulse-pounding action begins here.
New costume,
Okay.
too. The costume looks
New
pretty
costume.
cool. Yeah.
Yep. Very good. And for Harley, for the part of Harley, we are getting Elliot Kalan and Mindy Lee. I don't know either of those people.
Elliot Kalan was a journalist, also did Maniac of New York, that Aftershock book that Marco likes.
Okay. And Mindy Lee is credited with Harley Quinn, Everybody Hates Side Quests. and Bounty. The solicit reads, the bigwigs here at DC want me to be a bit clearer in these snooze illicit texts. So here goes nut. Begin the pre-written statement. Ahem. Quote, when Harley Quinn discovers her favorite dangerous neighborhood in Gotham City, Throat Cut Hill, has been gentrified beyond recognition, she breaks bad and sets out on a one clown woman mission to make Gotham City safe for crime again.
Huh. Okay.
I'm just happy they got rid of the blue in her costume. I'll check it out.
I will absolutely positively not be buying this unless Atomic Hound says that it is awesome.
Yeah, I like the pitch, but I'm not gonna go out of my way for it.
Yeah, I just can't. But I do hope it's good because I think Harley Quinn should have a good book. With all that DC has invested in that character, she should have a good book. Okay, MP says Dick's been framed for murder and is out of town. Bloodhaven still needs a Nightwing, though. Dick has been Batman twice before, so this brings things full circle. Indeed. I just wonder, like, hopefully Dick has multiple Nightwing costumes. You know, or maybe Bruce got this one tailored to his body.
Tom tailored.
To his body.
Yes. Absolutely. So that's it. Those are the book announcements that we got for October. We just ran through all the solicits for the books that are experiencing major changes. Normally we don't cover solicits too much on this podcast, but I thought it was appropriate to go over everything so that you guys are aware of all the big changes coming to your favorite books this October. What are we thinking about the first wave of DC's All In?
It still feels pretty safe. Tom Taylor on Detective, PKJ on Batman and Robin. Those moves aren't really, I don't know, they don't feel as inspired as I was hoping they would be. I like the addition of some of these new writers. You know, Torben Grönbeck on Catwoman. I know she's not a new writer, but that'll be a good fresh voice on Catwoman with hopefully a really good story to match. This Harley Quinn series, you know, actually sounds halfway decent. Again, halfway decent pitch. And the Green Arrow team. I want to point that out. Sets him up in a really interesting position. Overall solid, but not terribly surprising. It's not the shakeup I wanted it to be.
I feel like that's by design, though. Like, it almost feels like that's by design here, and then Absolute is like, hey, we're going to swing for the fences there. Because we can.
Jason Aaron? Scott Snyder on Batman?
Yeah, true. The rumored ones, I think, are a little more exciting. But, like, I think this is still, like, a solid initial volley of all-in books. I think, you know, whatever Rom's doing and potential for Justice League could eke this over into, oh, okay, hold on now. Right now, it's just like, oh, this is solid. There's nothing here that I was like, oh, no, thank you. A lot of it was like, hey, I see a lot of new number ones that I can check out, even though they're not number ones. They're sticking to legacy numbering. But a lot of new jumping on points for me.
Pete the Dreamweaver Collins in the chat, who is the artist behind the Bardic Verses. You guys should go buy that. It's really good. I have my copy somewhere in this maze of comics. Pete says, definitely feel safe. Detective sounds like a winner all around to me, and Dan Mora on Superman will be great. Uncaged asks, where is G. Willow Wilson on Poison Ivy still? Poison Ivy is continuing on. Although I really feel like G. Willow Wilson should have gotten an additional book, but maybe she doesn't want it. I don't know. I am very happy with this for the most part. I think that, you know, this is exciting. I love the fact that DC made their plans such that they would be able to do all new, well, not all new creative teams, but like new creative teams, new story arcs all in October, so that, you know, if you are looking for your way into DC, now's the time to take advantage of what they are doing. I am all in on that. At some point, these things, these announcements, these creative teams, these books will not be new, and they won't have that new sheen on them anymore. And that's when the quality is really going to matter. You know, when it's not fresh. We had this experience with Dawn of DC. So my hope is that these creatives have plans that are going to be exciting in January and exciting in March when we're well into this thing. You know, I want to feel good about these books long term. My picks, the ones that I'm most looking forward to, are Detective, Superman, Nightwing, believe it or not, and Batman and Robin.
Not pulling for the Torun Grandbeck?
Wait, not Detective. No, I'm bugging out. I meant to say Batman and Robin. Yeah, and I'll add Catwoman to that.
You've been fiending to have a Catwoman book you like.
Yeah. Well, the Rom V Catwoman was actually genuinely really good. So I was happy with that, and then we got you know, what we got from Teeny. So yes, I am very excited for a good Catwoman.
For me, out of these, I think Green Arrow might be the one I'm most excited for. That was the most like out of left field team, I think. Even though we're only getting a backup story for the first issue here, but that one is the one that jumped out to me as most being like, oh, I did not expect that.
Yeah. Yeah, and also Action. Action does sound exciting. Mark Waid.
Oh, true. Yep.
You know, Mariko Tamaki. Like I love those writers. I think that'll be pretty good.
Yeah, and that Phantom Zone story, I think I'm hyped for that.
Hell yeah. Let's talk about briefly what we don't know. Because there's the Rom V and PKJ question marks. Well, really the Rom V and Justice League question marks. Rom V continues to suggest that the book he is writing is at the heart of this whole thing. Darkseid does not have a book. I do not believe, sorry?
Nor a heart.
Nor a heart. I do not believe that Darkseid is getting a book. But I do believe that there is a New Gods book coming. And I believe that that is what Rom V will be writing, and I believe that Darkseid will be in that.
I think him saying at the heart of this is kind of cheeky if it is that, because in the main concept, like the main promotional art, right in the heart of that art is the Darkseid New Gods part of it. I'm wondering if he's being that playful with that wording.
I could see him being like that.
Me too, yeah.
I'd love to know what an absolute New Gods would look like.
I don't think it would be absolute. I think it would be mainline, but I would like to see what an absolute New Gods would look like. It's hard to say.
Because there's so little New Gods in the first place, it just makes sense that it would be mainline.
Couchin, we didn't talk about Flash just because it's staying the same, you know, so we just left that one out.
Full Spurrier.
Yeah, still Spurrier.
MP says the New Gods are the same in every universe. They're in their own dimension.
Oh, Atomic Hound did suggest that earlier. Yes. So thank you. Yeah, so definitely it would be, you know, Darkseid and everybody that we're already familiar with. Okay. I like that. I like it a lot. So that is really it as far as DC's major announcements this week. I think for me, I am all in. This is great. DC put their best foot forward, and they have teed it up so that they can own the conversation going into San Diego Comic-Con. And as far as comics are concerned, I think they're going to own the weekend. The weekend, overall, Marvel's going to dominate that. And we're going to talk about Marvel's piece in a little bit, because movie-wise, we've got some big announcements potentially on the horizon. So for those of you who are still fans of Marvel films and still curious about that, stay on the hook because we've got a lot more show to do and talk about. But I do believe that DC did something incredibly smart. It reminds me a lot of E3 and how the video game world works, where you've got this one major event and everybody is fighting to dominate the conversation of the weekend. And DC said, you know what? Fuck the weekend. We're coming in 2 weeks ahead.
But Nintendo sort of slips in the beginning.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
yeah.
They pulled a Nintendo. And I think it was super smart. Marvel has said absolutely nothing comics wise. We don't know anything comics wise. And so there's a lot more mystery on the Marvel side of things, which is compelling. But DC has already told us what we can expect. And they haven't told us what they haven't told us what they're going to announce there. And I think that part, the hole in their announcements is why I am so excited still for San Diego Comic-Con, considering what we know.
They only told us what they needed to put in solicits.
Yep.
That's interesting.
That is exactly right.
Are you hoping for anything special in the Marvel section of San Diego?
Yeah, but we've got a segment for that.
Okay.
So we'll dig into that a little bit later. Comic Boom says, loving the DC news. Hell yeah, dude. I'm glad for that. I think, the comic book industry thrives most when Marvel and DC are winning. So for me, I don't care what side you are on. I know that 60+% of our audience is DC, but it doesn't matter. We should all want both companies, and of course outside of them, but I think the anchors of the industry are both companies. We should all want them to thrive. So even though in my heart of hearts, I'm a Marvel guy, I need DC to win because I want great comics and I want this industry to be as healthy as it can be. So this is all a win.
Yeah.
Hey, Adam Smith. What's up, Adam? Adam says, I imagine it's a licensing issue, but I'd love to see some Warner Brothers DC build a Harry Potter comic book universe. Man, listen, if they could get that going, and we've actually talked about this a little bit before. I remember Gail Simone talked about how there was a list of properties that Dan Didio showed her that Warner owned and that they could do comics based off of. And she saw this whole list and he said, pick what you want and we'll do something with it. And I don't think Harry Potter was on it. For some reason, they could not do those. But if they could, that would be the comic that I think could sell 1 million copies. Harry Potter #1.
They can't. They don't have full rights of Harry Potter. There has been rumors that they are trying to get them all away from JK, so they can do a lot more stuff. But I think they only have film rights for it right now, and TV.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think that would be phenomenal, but unfortunately, it ain't coming. Chillmonger says, "What's up, Chill?" Chillmonger says, "Marvel's got a surprise return of Matthew Malloy." Who's Matthew Malloy?
Heard the name. I
have no idea who that is. I shouldn't just read things that Chillmonger says without knowing what they mean, because Matthew Malloy could be anybody. Like I have no idea who that is. Yeah, Harry Potter comic books, David, would be pretty interesting, but unfortunately, we won't be getting them.
Matthew Malloy is that deep cut Bendis era X-Men character that can just destroy things. And they were like trying to, that is a reference, Chill. Okay.
Cosmo says, y'all see the TMNT Naruto crossover? Yes, actually, that is the one piece of news that I forgot. Oh my God.
Not yet.
That I forgot to include in the show this week. But yeah, there is a freaking TMNT Naruto crossover on the horizon.
I think the cover is done by Jorge Jimenez, too.
It is, yeah. Man,
I saw it. It's cool as shit.
Yeah, of course it is. It's Jorge Jimenez drawing Naruto. Like, fuck yeah.
No team on it yet, though.
I don't want to buy it, but
It
I
smell-
probably have to.
It smells like one shot to me.
Not to tip my hand, but I'm more excited about this than the reboot coming up this week.
How have the Turtles crossed over with everyone besides Daredevil?
Licensing.
Do they have any crossovers with Marvel?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
It's a good question. But Daredevil is like
Marvel-
literally what they were inspired by. So come on.
Yeah, Marvel, they're very particular about those things.
Especially now.
Whereas DC, I mean, shit, one of my first exposures to Batman was in the Scooby-Doo show. The mysteries, the
Yeah.
team-ups they used to do.
Yep. Oh my god, so good. The Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah, dude.
Fucking didn't they do one with Vincent Price, the actor?
Yes, absolutely.
What a choice.
Whenever they would have those those are my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
Oh man, those were the days, huh? As he says, I think 2 decades ago, a Harry Potter comic would have sold 1 million copies, but I don't think it would anymore. The Harry Potter video game did gangbusters, and the Harry Potter property is still enormous. I think very online wise, the narrative is that Harry Potter is a dead brand, but it is absolutely not.
It's
It is
not at
still
all.
one of the biggest IP in the world.
They're making another friggin' theme park for it. Like,
Yeah, like it's
Another one? Wow.
yeah.
It's huge. I love that. Friendly neighborhood comic guy says Ramvi and Pepe Larraz on a Harry Potter book would be a dream. Yo, yes.
We're laughing at two different things. Right above that, Aaron Ruiz says Ren and Stimpy did a crossover with Marvel, right? That company that's so choosy.
Did they? That's crazy. I hadn't heard of that. Yeah, and there is the Harry Potter show coming as well. MP is right. Which again, I think that show is going to be an enormous success. Globally, like how many brands can you name that have the power of Harry Potter globally?
Pokemon.
Absolutely. But I would argue there are very few that are in that conversation.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
So it was X Factor. What do you mean? Immortal Biggie Shack. That is a phenomenal fucking name. Where have you been, Biggie Shack? Thank you for being here right now. I love your name.
X Factor Ren and Stimpy crossover. Come on.
That's absurd.
I gotta Google this.
That cannot be real. Hey, we've got 70 plus of you hanging out. I love it. Thank you for making Saturday mornings your destination, hanging out with us. Really appreciate that. Make sure you guys smash that like button. We're going to do a Justice League inspired draft a little bit later.
Ooh.
I have a twist. I am not going to tell you the twist until we hit our likes goal, which I'll say is 60 likes.
Holy crap. Issue 87 of the X Factor comic book, written by Peter David, has Wolfsbane describing to the group's therapist, Doc Samson, a dream in which he was a part of the Ron and Simpy show.
What? That is so crazy.
Wow.
Ren and Stimpy comics were big back then.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. Ren and Stimpy was huge.
I love that. Used to love Ren and Stimpy.
Dan Slott wrote a whole bunch of them.
Probably good.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in addition to talking about what Marvel has planned for San Diego, we are going to talk about our favorite DC events. That is a big thing we've been doing. That's the top 5 for this month is our favorite DC events. So we're going to do numbers 3 and 2 this week. Kale's going to have to do his first few because he missed the week where we debuted this. So hope you're ready.
Hope you guys don't have dinner plans because.
Before we get to that, though, I do want to mention patreon.com/thecomicspals. That is the absolute best way to support us. If you enjoy what we do, if you make this your destination every Saturday or Thursday for Pals Pulls, if we're a part of your week every week and you want to say thank you to us for that, Patreon is the best way to do it. And we are always giving you bang for your buck. We appreciate your support and we want to show you how much we do. So there's a whole bunch of stuff over on the Patreon side of things. A new show called Palling Around. You get access to our newsletter. You can vote in the poll for the book club, which right now I want to quickly make the announcement on the main show, since we haven't done that, that Crisis on Infinite Earths won the poll overwhelmingly and is the subject of our next book club, which will be on July 30th. Set your watch to it. Make a note. Start your reread or start your first read of Crisis. I am starting mine after this show ends. Let me very quickly get my hardcover so I can show you guys the beauty and the glory.
Oh, you got a hardcover? Oh, he's not even listening. Have you started yet, Tyler?
Very loosely, but yeah. I've opened the book.
Get started too. I unfortunately also have a deadline in the middle of that, and
fun.
Yeah.
Look at this bad boy.
Oh, that's the good cover.
Look at this beauty. This is the new one. I believe I think this is new. Maybe not.
35th anniversary?
35th anniversary deluxe, yeah.
That sounds
so
right.
Check out that thick spine. I can't wait to dig into this. And it's still in the wrapper. Look, am I weird? I love when I get a comic like this and you rip off the wrapper, you unbox and everything, and that new comic smell. Do you guys know that smell?
Yeah.
Is that the one that makes you have to poop?
Yep.
No, that's that's a bookstore thing, maybe.
Yeah, that's whatever Barnes and Noble has got in the air.
Ride Every Day Photos says, how do we participate in the book club? I actually just received that book. Hey, that's super cool. Thank you for joining us. I haven't seen your name in the chat before. So you don't have to do anything but show up on the day, the 30th of July, and come. We'll be live here at 6 p.m. Eastern, and we are going to discuss this tome. We're going to go over the history of it. We're going to dissect it. We're going to talk about what inspired it. We're going to talk about its legacy, everything like that. If you want to go deeper, this is optional. If you want to go deeper, you can join our Discord server. There's a link to it in the description. And there, conversation about Crisis has already started.
Yeah.
So our listeners are already talking about it. We're in the weeds with it. I'm learning new things. If you're a fan of this book or not, if you've never read it and you want to know what the OGs know about it, join our Discord server. Start the conversation there.
Some people there were picking it up when it came out, right?
Yeah.
I would bet Hound was.
Yeah. We've got a few people that were reading it when it was coming out. Part of the Patreon perks is a nickname and a shout out on this very show. And I want to give a special shout out to the best pals in the universe. Thunderstruck, Rebecca Alejandro, the Hound of Justice, Atomic Hound, who is in the chat, Starcross Catherine Stars, and the Red Spiral Storm. And I also want to thank the Night Stalker, Harris Dajinski, Brian Demolisher Del Pozo, Kefis the Incorruptible, who is in the chat, Momentum Mike Elliott, Dan the Truth Trudeau, Jalen the Sanguine Sorcerer, Marley Manastorm, Slow Flow Dameron, Christian Uncaged Harriet, who is in the chat, always laughing, the Spear of Justice, Izzy Spears, who is in the chat, the Great Destroyer, Hyper Viper 89, Adam and Bernie the Best Boy, who is in the chat. Hopefully Bernie is with you, Adam. Robert Runback Cashaback, who is in the chat. Pete the Dreamweaver Collins, in the chat. Matthew Malice Price, James Just Jamming Jones, Amin Almighty Perez, who is in the chat. Paul Powerhouse Smith, and joining the Palsverse, Andrew Smith. Now, Andrew, Marco actually wanted to do your origin, so he has done that. However, he is not here with us, as we said, because of a family situation. So unfortunately, you do have just one more week to wait for your origin, but you will be getting that next week. Sorry about that.
Marco is not here with us, but he may be in the room. If you listen, you may be able to.
If you hear a beep or a whirring or a whizzing in your room and it's a computer on or something like that, Marco may be in there. The ghost in the machine.
Quick, unplug it.
Yeah. And of course, who am I forgetting? I'm forgetting someone critical. Let me not do that. Our newest patron who
Orpheus?
joined just today, Orpheus. Thank you, Orpheus. Your origin will be coming next week as well when I get to that. So
Yeah, we also got an important question about the book club from Jack G. I want to answer this out loud. He said, do we just read the core 12 issues or also the tie-ins? Reading on the Universe app, and there are a ton of those. So we will cover the 12 issues in the actual book. I would say for the conversation, if you want to add whatever context you can get from the tie-ins and everything else, Godspeed to you.
and I would also say this will be my very first time reading this book. And this is one of the last like big comics events that I haven't read. So for me, this is a very special thing. And when I do things like this, I like to have as much of the story as I can, the relevant pieces. So if you consider yourself to be a crisis aficionado and you can tell me what I should read alongside this to better understand the story and better guide a conversation about it, please do tell me. I would love to hear your thoughts.
Do you know what it's about, Sean?
Nope.
Really? Okay.
I don't know anything. I think I know that Barry dies. I think I know that. And I think I know that Supergirl dies.
It's all over
But
the
again,
art.
those are just things I think I may have picked up. Could be true, could be false. I love that. That's exciting.
Okay.
MP, do you guys plan to read any of the companion material? So again, I don't know. I have no idea. You tell me. You tell me. If you've read it, what's most important to read?
For me, there's enough in the book that's going to wallop you over the head, especially for your first time, Sean, and trying to put together the history and all that. And I've got a deadline that same week. I'm just reading the main book.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. I just want to know what should I take on for my first time? You know, should I go hard or should I just keep it to the 12?
I'm going soft. I'm just doing the 12. Doing a
Yep.
soft 12.
All right.
That's it. And it's not a soft 12. Like,
It's a hard 12.
it's a lot.
Maybe I'll go half chub and do like, Crisis plus a little bit.
We were dancing around the euphemisms, and you just say half chub.
Yeah.
Well, I like to get to the core of things when I can. So let's get into our top 5 DC Comics events / crossovers countdown. Now, Tyler and I have already told you about our number 5 and 4, so we're going to present our 3 and 2s today. But since Kale hasn't had the opportunity yet to present his, Kale, why don't you kick us off with your 5 and 4?
Sure. So my number 5 is going to be Batman Nightfall. Now this is it's more of a Batman World crossover, but I think if I recall correctly, it does go out of the Gotham every now and then. But it's the story of Batman's back being broken by Bane and what happens after that. It's Azrael taking over, John Paul Valley taking over as Batman because Dick Grayson didn't want it, and it's his slow corruption due to his religious order or whatever that is, and we watch Bruce go from utterly wheelchair bound and completely shattered to regaining what it means to be Batman and going through his training again. And it's to me it was an early read, but I really love Batman Nightfall because it's a real examination of what it means to come back from such a failure in different aspects of Bruce's choices, a failure as Batman and then a failure to choose the right successor.
That's cool as fuck.
It's great. It's great.
I've read a piece of it, but not the whole thing.
My number 4 may surprise you. Identity Crisis. And I say it may surprise you with how low it is.
Yeah.
Identity Crisis was an early sort of shaper for me in what comic books could be. The murder of Sue Dibney sort of, it really, I was enthralled by it. This is just me grasping at the DC universe. I think the most I'd read up to this point was maybe like Batman Hush, Young Justice, and then Teen Titans. And then I was slowly creeping into the rest of it. I didn't know you could do things like this with history. This was my first sort of, thing that happens in the present that's affected by the past. In a comic book way. This book really shaped my perspective on superheroes and taught me to dig into continuity for mysteries and look into the little twists that creators can use. It's a bit unfortunate, I think, in 2024, but I think I do think it's a product of its time, and I do think it's really good. My copy is signed by Brad Meltzer, and I got a letter from him.
You braggart.
Because I'm cool. I don't know.
How the hell did you get that?
Cool. No, I had a friend of mine. He went to a Barnes and Noble in Colorado, and I sent my copy to him with a letter, and he signed it. She sent my copy back, and then he wrote me he actually wrote me a reply letter later on. It was great.
That's sick.
Yeah, it was cool as hell. So my number 3, The Death of Superman.
What?
Yeah. I love The Death of Superman. I think so the death itself is one of those, I think people don't give it enough credit, but give it too much at the same time. The fight is absolutely incredible. You watch Doomsday crawl from hell or whatever the fuck and beat the entire Justice League with a hand tied behind his back. The entire Justice League. He slams Booster Gold's head into a car. It's great. And then he's cut loose and he just wrecks Metropolis. And then Superman shows up and it's like earth shattering. Like you feel the blows, and the death sits with me constantly. The way the world reacts in the world without Superman, I think it's long and it's drawn out, but I think it sort of encapsulates what Superman means to the DC universe. And it felt, I don't know if it felt this way in the real world at the time, but in the books, it made everything feel unified because you saw everyone. Tim Drake had just become Robin, and he was like, whoa, if this can happen to Superman, what am I doing here? And that was it was really cool to see everyone doing one thing.
Yeah.
And then the return, you get the 4 Superman copies, and then the return of Kal-El, and then the assault on Coast City by Mongol, and the turn of Hal Jordan. It's great.
Dude, I've only read like a percentage of what you just said. I didn't know Mongol was involved.
My man,
Yep.
you ain't read shit.
Wow.
It's great.
It's a
Yeah.
whole era of comics, right? Not even just like really
Yeah.
an event. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it took a long time for all of this to go because it's a mammoth set of books.
So you're encompassing like the whole thing, like the death, and then of course the return and everything in between.
Because that's how I read it. I would consider
Oh,
that whole thing one big massive event. Yeah.
oh man.
Out of the 4 Supermen that try to take up his spot, who's your favorite?
Superboy, baby.
I guess so. Yeah, leather jacket,
What are you,
Superboy.
what are you talking about? Yeah, come on.
You're not an Eradicator fan?
No. No. None of them are
Eradicator
cool.
is who I wish Superman was. Eradicate. When I was a kid, I played the Death of Superman video game, and when I saw Eradicator, I could not believe how cool he was. Like, holy shit, where can I find this character? And of course, I have seen him in the comics one time, which was actually recently. He appeared, I forget why he appeared, but they brought all those people back, and he was there for a brief bit. But I love Eradicator
It's the glasses.
and the fire. That
Glasses.
design is
Yeah.
sick as hell.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's part of that sort of pantheon of like 90s designs. I think Superboy counts in this category as well as like Ben Riley of just like a slight tweak on the design that also looks classic and really slick. Yeah, definitely agree. My number 2 is actually the book we're doing our book club on, Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh.
I read this for the first time on a church camp bus in Houston in 110 degrees and 100% humidity with no air conditioning on the bus, sweat pouring off of me onto the book. But I couldn't put it down. The massive scope of Crisis and like ancient history that I had no idea about, characters I had no idea about, people I only sort of recognized, all coming together for this like massive world, world and universe shaping event. Again, this was early on in my career, so I didn't have the concept of a multiverse and what that meant for the company. This was everything. And it's always stuck with me. Some of the deaths, Barry Allen, his death I've always held in very high regard. The way one thing that has always stood out to me is how little Batman is in the book. And that's not a spoiler, but I think you'll also be surprised by it because what could he do? Like he's a man. He's fun.
I appreciate that.
I don't want you to go in expecting things. But I think it reflects a lot of the way the characters are at the time, and Batman at the time, especially when this was just before the death of Jason Todd. He was a super spy, basically. He was James Bond in a cooler suit. And I love the psycho pirate. I love the things that Crisis plays with, even if I gotta be honest, I don't always get it. And I'm excited to jump back in as an older, wizened, grayer comic book reader to piece it together. George Perez, his art and the paneling and the way they make just so fucking much happen on a page, let alone the book. It's gonna knock your socks off, Sean.
Can't wait.
I'm so excited.
I love it. This is like your list got me so excited for DC Comics, dude. Like there's so much more for me to discover. I'm 20 years into reading comics and there's so much more to see. I fucking love this industry so much.
I and I think once you start going back further, you might see why New 52 was such a punch in the face. Like to me, especially because like I was living in it, and I've been living in it. Um, yeah, DC is my home.
That's awesome. And we will hear Kale's number 1 pick next week, just like all the rest of ours. Tyler, why don't you hit us with your 3 and 2?
Number 3 is Blackest Night. Blackest Night, it kind of fills that Secret Invasion hole for me in terms of the DC side. When it was coming out and I was picking it up weekly, I had been invested in Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run. Like, that was like the DC book that I was most into at the time. And then it culminating in Blackest Night, where it's like, hey, all that stuff that was happening in space with Hal and the Green Lantern Corps, it's hitting Earth now. It's coming home. And then seeing everything that happened there was just like, oh, it was so much fun. And the marketing around it was so good. Yeah, that just holds like a special place in my heart. Number 2 is Identity Crisis. Kale spoke about it. I think Kale and I have talked about it before too. That where we are Identity Crisis apologists in a way.
Yeah.
I know it can be a little problematic in a modern lens, but at the time it was like, hey, in my eyes, when I first read Identity Crisis, DC characters were still, still almost had the Super Friends image in my head. There were these wholesome kind of characters. Yeah, sure, Batman was kind of an outlier, but everyone, like Snyder and Williamson said, everyone kind of reflected Superman in a way in terms of that vibe. And then you read Identity Crisis and you're like, no, this is real. There's some real stuff happening here, and they can make mistakes. And this is what happens when those almost godlike figures screw up. And I thought it was so interesting. I still really like it. Honestly, I was gunning for it for the for the book club, but hey, well, we'll get to it eventually. But yeah, I really like that. Yeah, those are my next 2.
Awesome. Uncanny Suit. I think he broke me while Kale was talking, and he got the chat too. He said, "Wow, Kale has Night Terrors at number 1." Dude,
Oh.
if Night Terrors
What's
was
left?
on anyone's list, they would be off the show.
I got flack for saying Final Crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to that, and you deserved it. You deserved it.
Yeah. Flashpoint. Does anyone have Flashpoint on their list? Ask Atomic Hound. No.
Marco probably fucking does.
No.
I said it, before, but Flashpoint and the New 52, just like I hate those.
Sil Stevenson says Flashpoint feels like a Flash book made into an event last minute. Yes, because it was. That is absolutely right. It was supposed to be just a story happening in Flash, and then Dan Didio and Jim Lee saw that they could use that as a springboard to their new universe that they wanted to create, and so they did it. I think the creators involved in that get a lot of flack that really belongs with the upper tier of DC's, editorial and managerial staff.
He said, I can't believe Kale loves a story about the evils of a religious institution. Huh.
Right?
It's almost like I'm wrestling with stuff and have been my whole life.
MP says the 90s got a lot of flack, but I think DC was riding high that decade. What else? What else, MP? Tell me. Tell me now. I need more DC 90s books to read. If they are of the quality that you were saying. Cosmo says, I haven't gone back and read literally any major event or crisis. Where do y'all recommend starting? Oh, whoa, hold on. Cosmo, when you say that, do you mean that you have read no events from Marvel or DC, or that you literally have never read an event before? Because those are two different things. And where you should start depends on where your comic book journey started and where you're at on that road. So are
Well,
you a new reader?
They said haven't gone back and read.
Right.
So to me, that sounds like haven't read before. They read it when it came out, but haven't gone back.
Oh, maybe.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Read Invasion.
Do not do that. Do not do that. Leatrick says, when Superman confronted Batman and Batman looked at Superman with eyes rolled up doing something that apparently scared Supes and Night Terror, which I didn't read, that's when I dropped Batman. Well, damn, Batman shouldn't pay for the sins of Night Terrors. Batman's pretty good to me. I don't know. We have 65 people with us right now. I want us to get to 100. Where are we at? We need to rally the troops and get us to 100 this year. I want 100 concurrent live viewers this year. So if you don't watch this show live, Saturdays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern, make this your destination. If you like this show, we get about like 1.5 views, 1.5 thousand views on YouTube every week for this show. Let's see some more of those people come to the live show. It's early. Get your coffee, get your breakfast going, sit down and listen to your pals.
No better week than next week for San Diego Comic-Con too.
Hell yeah. We've got a lot to talk about when it comes to SDCC. Cosmo says they're a new reader. I've read the recent events like Night Terrors and stuff, mostly DC. Okay, so you're new. All right. I think that for a new reader, DC going backwards is difficult. It's very hard. When I started reading DC Comics, I started with Batman, which was by Morrison at the time, with Tony Daniel and others. And I started with Green Lantern, which was Jeff Johns and Ivan Reis and others, who I don't even want to name. And those were safe. Those were safe. Then I jumped in with Ernest with the New 52, because I felt like the other pieces of DC at the time were impenetrable. So, as probably not an amazing person to advise you, I think that when it comes to DC, you should really get your feet wet and get your bearings with what's happening now. And when you feel comfortable with the now, choose, in my opinion, choose the characters that you love now and work back. It's hard to take DC on as a whole thing. If you love, let's say, Batman, you can certainly read Morrison era Batman. You can read Snyder era Batman, and you will get the lay of the land with that. And if you really love what's happening with Batman, you can read Batman R.I.P., which you should absolutely do. Grant Morrison's Batman R.I.P. If you want to read an event, I recommend reading the events that are the most easily digestible on their own, which is stuff like Identity Crisis. I read it without any context. So Identity Crisis. I read Infinite Crisis without context. I don't know if I recommend it, but it wasn't the worst experience. I fucking loved it. It's in my top 5.
I think it's doable. Yeah. I did the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you can safely read those. And then the New 52 events like Forever Evil, which I'm actually about to talk about. That's pretty accessible. You can work your way into the New 52 pretty safely because it doesn't require foreknowledge. Do you guys have anything you want to add to that? Did I miss something?
I think for Marvel, a safe spot is Civil War. If you want to start like chronologically or whatever, start with Bendis's New Avengers, and then crack on through Civil War up to up through Secret Invasion. You'll have a great time.
I'd even argue the Marvel ones can be read one and done by themselves. The events. I think you get more if you read, the stuff leading up to it and things falling out. But.
Yeah, I think you'll kind of see where stuff can spin off and all that. But I think Civil War is pretty much a solid spot to start with Marvel because it affected so much for so long, and it's still referenced in continuity.
It's also clean.
Yeah.
Aaron Ruiz says, Cosmo, I recommend Heroes in Crisis. The palace can attest to its greatness.
Do not listen to that.
Why
Do
would you?
not do that
That
to yourself.
that's not pal behavior, Aaron. Come on.
Yeah, right? We don't troll new readers, Aaron.
Come on.
Be nice.
I'd be curious
one.
to
Good one, though.
what it would be like reading Heroes in Crisis out of context.
Awful. Let me tell you, as someone who read it in context, awful.
Yeah, I just think that for even the sanctuary concept to add up, you've got to really get these characters, like what they've been through.
And even Tom King didn't do that. So how are you supposed to?
Fair. Robert Cashaback with the two Canadian super chats. So what does that translate to?
I think like a bottle
that's
of
a
maple
toonie,
syrup.
isn't it?
A toonie?
Yeah. That's what
I've heard of a
Canadians call
tunchi.
their excuse me.
Little Tunchi?
I've heard of tunchi. I haven't heard of toonie.
That's I think that's it's like a 2-pound coin in Britain. I think it's like $2.
I thought Kale was gonna explain Little Tunchi, but okay, never mind.
Listen, I skipped over it because I don't know. I don't have any fucking idea.
Thank you so much, Robert, for that. He says, check out your local library for trade paperbacks. That is a tremendous recommendation.
Absolutely.
What we just laid out is a lot of money. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's expensive to be into comics, and you can get a subscription to a digital comics reader for sure. DC has theirs and Marvel has theirs, but if physical is where your heart lies and you don't have the ability to just drop hundreds of dollars, then I think your library as a bolstering effort is a great choice for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, libraries have digital offerings as well, so it's even worth looking into that.
True. Mystery Men and Monsters said, I'm way late. Hey, you're never late.
We're only halfway through the show. You ain't missed nothing.
Yeah, we're still here, dude. We're going to be here until about 4 or 5 p.m. That is a lie. Do not listen to that. That is a lie.
I am.
That's true. You are. Yeah, there you go, Cole. Cole gets it. All right. I didn't even get to my 3 and 2. So let me quickly get us through that because we've got to get through this show. So my number 3 is Identity Crisis. It's come up here already a lot. I won't belabor it. It's the first DC event that I read, and I loved it. I think that Identity Crisis is tremendous. I know that a lot of people have turned on it in the years since because it's controversial. That controversy doesn't land on me. What lands on me is a creative team that was trying to tell a story that has deep emotional resonance and that presents characters who are flawed and complicated. And humans are flawed and complicated. And this was the only book at that time that allowed me to emotionally understand the heroes of DC. And so I think that it's a huge success. I haven't read it in a few years. It's been about 5 years probably since I read it last, but I adore it. I think it's tremendous. I secretly was hoping it would win the poll because I want a reason to read it again. And I'm sure one day I will. It's one day soon. Identity Crisis is very, very, very good. I love it. My number 2, and this is something that has changed actually over the years. My number 2 is Forever Evil. I love Forever Evil so much that it was my number 1 DC event for quite some time. And Forever Evil is a story that takes place within the New 52. And it plays on the history of the New 52, but it also kind of tugs on you if you are a seasoned reader of DC. Like it introduces, it plays on Bizarro, right? And Bizarro's relationship with Lex, which is super interesting. It plays on Mazis. And if you don't know what Mazis is, and you don't know about what happens in Infinite Crisis with Lex and everybody else, that stuff resonates more if you're a more seasoned reader of DC. It's also got the Crime Syndicate, who are incredibly interesting, I thought, twist versions on DC's traditional heroes. Forever Evil is one of the stories where you're like, okay, I know the heroes have to win, but what are they going to have to lose before they win? And because of just how bad things were for the heroes during Forever Evil. It's Jeff Johns at his best, in my opinion. I believe Ivan Reis on art. Just a dynamic duo you can't beat. Read Forever Evil if you haven't. So those are our 3s and 2s. Our number 1s come next week. Can't wait to talk about those. Very excited. MP says, oh, before I say that, Jack G says, can you guys hint at what you mean by identity crisis controversy? I'm out of the loop and am curious. Go ahead, Kill.
So the story, I guess, a trigger warning here. We are going to talk about mentions of sexual assault, but the story revolves around the sexual assault of Sue Dibney, and then the erasing of people's minds and memories, and manipulating, their personalities and stuff. There's a lot of, really problematic stuff in there when you really get into it. And a lot of people have talked about it more and better than probably I could. I'm sure I don't even know the half of what's actually in there. But on my last read, I also noticed that the rest of the women weren't treated super well. So it's definitely not necessarily a modern book, even though the mystery it has and the things it deals with are very compelling.
Yeah.
So
that's a fair assessment. Shadow Walker says, I started a meetup group to meet more people who read comics. We pick a couple trades and meet to discuss. Some buy, others check out from the library. Shadow Walker, that is so cool that you do that. I love that. I think that's great. That is fantastic. And if you're not, you should join our Discord, because I feel like our Discord is a great place for people who are reading comics, new and old, wherever you're at in your journey. And I love getting to follow. One of my favorite journeys that I've gotten to follow is that of Uncaged, because, Uncaged started as a new reader. When he joined us, he was about a year in, and getting to see, Baby's first X, Y, and Z, Baby's first X-Men relaunch, Baby's first new initiative. It's so cool to see everybody's journey unfolding. I'm 20 years in. Atomic Hound is 40 years in, or maybe more. We're all at different spaces, and I just think it's cool to get to interact. And our Discord is, and our live streams are the intersection where those conversations are possible. So, all right. We've talked at length about DC's Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con offerings, and All In and everything else. I wanted to quickly, before we get to the Marvel side of things, I wanted to quickly say adieu to Omnibus, who are shutting their doors. If you go to the website omnibus.app, you will see that they have announced that they are closing down. Omnibus is still a digital comics reading service and marketplace, I guess, to be able to buy and read comics. And they kicked off in 2022. They're closing in August of 24. So grand opening, grand closing, as far as I'm concerned. And unfortunately, this is what they have to say. What happened? We aren't growing fast enough and would require a significant amount of external funding to proceed and become sustainable. This is a tough business to achieve that within the current landscape. Really, I wanted to tackle this for a PSA to those of you who might use Omnibus, because this will cease functioning August 21st. They say you'll be able to read in-app and download your backups until August 21st. We'll send everybody reminders via email. This is unfortunate.
I think without them being able to get the big two involved, severely hampered them. Because I think the actual they did things well. The app itself, functionally, was great. The fact that you can buy the books within the app is the one thing that I don't understand why Amazon took away from Comixology. It just makes much more sense to have it all in the one app, and the quality of it was really good. But when you don't have Marvel or DC, it's hard. It's hard to maintain that.
It's next to impossible.
Yeah.
Well, Amazon took it off because Comixology took it off because they Apple introduced the tax or whatever on in-store purchases, or they stopped allowing it or whatever. And most subscribers are, from Apple. It sucks. This sucks because Omnibus was supposed to be the big Comixology successor. And it, for me, it just goes to show you can't go against Amazon. You just can't, even as shitty as they have made their service. It's just impossible to go against them. And then the guys who started Comixology decided to make Distillery, and we've lost an essential infrastructure.
Yeah. This is a big blow to digital comics readership. And it feels like that continues to prove to be a place that the industry as a whole is struggling to figure out the way to best present digital comics, the way to get people in the conversation through the doors. I mean, 2 years for this app to have been alive is a very, very short amount of time. And people who invested in this, and decided they were going to make this where they read at least some amount of their books digitally, now have to figure out somewhere else to go. Some of those people might just say, you know what? I don't know where else to go. I'm done. That's always a possibility. This is what people don't understand. Everybody who says things like, oh, who cares if a comic book shop closes or we don't need them? Every single time that an avenue for readership closes, some amount of those people who were using that avenue will stop. That is how it works. So this is nothing to be celebrated. I don't like digital comics. I don't read them. I'm not into that. We need this to exist. We need it. And the fact that they couldn't get Marvel and DC, because Marvel and DC already have their own hubs for their own digital books, that's going to be a death knell for any successor. If Marvel and DC will not play ball, digital comics will never, ever, ever work. It won't work. They have to play ball. They have to.
It won't work as a whole, but it will work for Marvel and it'll work for DC.
I'm talking about,
sure,
getting the whole industry. Like, what about other publishers? To really see digital thrive, everything has to be under one hub.
It'll survive in the same way that America's bridges and infrastructure and roads and highways and things. It'll survive until a boat crashes into it and the whole thing falls down.
Which it's crazy that this is announced because they just launched their phone app, like what, a month or two ago?
Yeah,
it's a real bummer. One other note too is if anyone listening to this does use Omnibus and they're considered a super user, which I think is spending over $100 in app, you can reach out and they might be able to refund you a decent amount. They didn't specify how much, but it might be worth looking into.
Kefis with the $5 super chat. Thanks, Kefis. Says, this news sucks, especially for Sean. Where is he going to get my payout when Blade crashes? Well, I figured that you would want something physical.
He's giving you an out.
I wasn't going to shop here for whatever you would be winning, although you're not going to win because next week we are going to learn that Blade, Mahershala Ali is going to be on the stage. So
it's going to be so funny when he's not.
We'll see, dude. We'll see. Shit, we should do like an emergency live. We should
Yeah,
I
you're
hate
right.
San Diego Comic-Con Saturday because our show preempts the actual like
Yeah.
movie panels on Saturday, and it's like, what do we do?
do the show Sunday.
I will be driving Sunday, so
Oh yeah,
I
that's
work.
right.
I work. I would do it later though.
I might not be against that either.
Sylv and Pete mention Global Comics. That's a decent platform. It's no Omnibus, but I also have had experience with Global Comics. They're a platform that does really also care about their creators. I actually have a friend, one of the creators of Global Comics is a friend of a friend. And he actually pitched Global Comics to me as a creator one time. And that was nuts. So yeah, I would recommend Global Comics if only for those smaller publishers and indie creators, trying to get a foothold. Anything to get out from under the Jeff Bezos's boot heel.
Mystery Men and Monster says just ordered Forever Evil. Looking forward to the read. I think you'll love it.
Nice.
Someone tell DC that we sell their comics on this podcast so that they can give us some access, please.
For real.
Hope you're not a Nightwing fan though.
And you know what? We gotta get Amazon referral links, because that could have been a little bit of cash in our pocket. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, these top 5 lists. Yeah.
We need that Robert
tried
Cashaback
that
from Amazon.
but what's that?
I said we need that Robert Cashaback from Amazon. A little shout out.
And I also want to say thank you to Cosmo for joining the Discord.
Hell yeah.
Oh, nice.
Okay. So let's get into the Marvel side of San Diego Comic-Con. There are a lot of question marks surrounding what it is that Marvel is going to do. But one thing that we know for sure is that on Saturday, July 27th, at 6 p.m. Pacific, Marvel will be showing us what is coming for the MCU. Kevin Feige will be there. He's going to give us all the announcements and all the reveals and everything else. We don't know much about what is going to be discussed. Certainly, we know, of course, that Fantastic Four will be a part of the conversation. I would imagine that Captain America 4, Brave New World, will be a part of the conversation. I would imagine that, we'll probably hear something about Thunderbolts. But the real question mark is about the things that are beyond those movies, because those are the ones that are imminent. What about what's coming beyond them? What about, Avengers 5, Avengers 6? What about all of that? What about the X-Men sized hole in the MCU schedule? I don't anticipate we'll hear anything about the X-Men, personally.
I don't know. Feige just did an interview with Deadline, one of the big ones, in preparation for Deadpool Wolverine, and he was talking about the X-Men. So I don't know.
Yeah, but what did he say? It matters what he said.
He was saying like, expect the unexpected when it comes to a lineup. He's like, you're gonna see characters that you recognize. You will see ones you never seen before.
You're saying he said that about the X-Men team itself?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's the lips are unsealing a bit.
Interesting.
He's
lifting his hat.
Yeah, and he also mentioned Spider-Man 4 as well, which I think was the first time of like an official mention by him. Is that him and Amy Pascal were working on it, and they're working on. They should be getting a script soon. So that's probably as much as we'll get from that. But
okay, interesting. I mean, I'm pretty excited for what could happen at San Diego Comic-Con. One thing that I think is actually maybe more interesting than Kevin Feige's presence at San Diego Comic-Con for the film side of things is actually his presence for the comic side of things. Kevin Feige is going to be at the Marvel Fanfare panel, which is a comics panel, and it's going to be CB Cebulski sitting down and speaking with Kevin Feige, who is, of course, the chief creative officer of all of Marvel. That's I can't think personally of another time that Kevin Feige has sat down to talk about the comic side of things in this kind of capacity.
Raced comics with his presence.
Yeah.
And that's nuts. And that's
This
like
feels like
we've even had like Agents of Shield comics. We've had Inhumans, the whole era of Inhumans, where like
Mhm.
clear, maybe not mandates, but influence from on high into the comics. But yeah, we never had this. Interesting.
yeah, this feels like one of those sort of actors on acting
Sure.
type of interviews, you know, directors on director type thing.
So this is the description for the panel. Marvel masters collide in an unprecedented meeting of page and screen. Marvel Comics editor CB Cebulski and Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige discuss their mutual love for all things comics, along with some special surprise creators. With decades of creative storytelling at the House of Ideas between them, there will be no shortage of insider insights and unheard comic book anecdotes that you can't afford to miss. And if that wasn't enough, following the discussion, fans will receive an exclusive giveaway comic.
Why does it sound like Bendis would fit in really well in that discussion?
Yeah, it feels like Bendis era
Yeah.
ad copy.
Yeah, it does.
Dude.
Yeah.
If they brought back Bendis, that would be a big announcement. Don't anyone tell me it wouldn't. I don't want to hear it. It would be. It's Bendis. He is the architect of Marvel. Brian Michael Bendis is as important to Marvel right now, historically, as Stan Lee. How about that? Without Bendis, the 2000s of Marvel is very different, for the worse. And I would argue that the comics revitalization at Marvel is largely due to Brian Michael Bendis. And that man needs to receive his flowers from Marvel Comics. He is the 2000 Stan Lee.
Sure, I'm with that. I don't want to read a Marvel book by him anymore, but I'm with that. I'm with that.
Yeah, I have no argument there.
Good.
Great
Did you
podcast.
expect a fight from us? Like
No, I'm
the
just
the two Bendis heads? Like
I'm just talking shit. One thing we might learn on the movie side of things, though, is who's going to direct Avengers 5 and 6. And Marvel has thrown us a twist because the Hollywood Reporter is suggesting that Marvel Studios is working with and trying to court the Russo brothers, Joe and Anthony, to direct Avengers 5 and 6. And when I saw this news, I audibly yelled, and I was so excited, just like I am now, because this is the path. This is the correct destiny for Avengers 5 and 6. You want to know why it didn't work out with those other people, whoever they were, that they tried to get to direct these movies? It's because it was never going to work. The only people who can do this justice, who can do Secret Wars right, are the Russo brothers. They have the passion. They have the desire. Fuck Netflix. It's all about Marvel. And they need to do this. And Marvel has the money. They have the ability to bring them back. And I'll tell you, this is what happened. This is what happened. This is the conversation. Kevin Feige called the Russos and he said, hey, listen, we've got Avengers 5 and 6 coming. You saw what happened with, Kang and Jonathan Majors. We need a win. We need a big win. We need you guys to come back. And they said, look, Kev, we've got the Netflix stuff going on. We can't do it. We can't. And Kevin said, are you sure? And they said, yeah. And he said, okay, step outside. And then they walked to their doors. They don't live together. So they walked separately to their doors. They opened their doors and they saw these massive trucks, right? Huge, huge trucks, dump trucks that were pointed facing the door of their homes. And inside those dump trucks were massive piles of money that then the dump trucks flipped out and dumped the money, the Brinks truck money, all on the fronts of the Russo's homes. And the Russos jumped in these piles and swam in them. And then they picked their phones back up and said, Kev, when do we start? They're paying them buco bucks to direct these movies. And that's the right decision. I can't wait.
I think it's creatively bankrupt. It's like
wow, I wouldn't go that far.
It's like, all right, it's what worked for us. Let's just go back to it. It's fine. It's whatever.
I mean, the Russos have said they would come back for Secret War. They originally wanted to do Secret War. So I can see, you know, I see the passion there. The thing for me is like Marvel was so gung-ho originally about not going back to them and that it would be something different. That I'm like, oh yeah, okay, well, fine.
Well, there's more to that story because the conversation between Marvel and the Russos has been ongoing since Endgame. And initially, they were taking a break and they were going to reassess. And in that reassessment time, they inked a deal with Netflix that seemed to be pretty, restrictive in terms of their time. And so there was a report years ago at this point where it was said that they could not work out a deal with the Russos at Marvel because they were just too busy. They didn't have the time. And they talked specifically about how much they wanted to direct Secret Wars, but they just couldn't get to it. So they would watch the movie as fans at home. So I don't think it's so much that Marvel didn't want the Russos. I think it's that they just couldn't get them. They couldn't make it work timeline-wise. And now I think that whatever the Russos had to do to shift things to make this work, they have done. And I think that money is the reason why they have made that choice. I think this always had to happen.
Well, it also, I mean, it helps that COVID happened and it pushed the timeline back. So it might have worked out ultimately for Disney and Marvel. But man, like I had 2.5 movies, Avengers level movies from these guys. And like they're good. But personally, I just want to see like, difference in it. Maybe a different way of shooting it, a different style. But I understand that's just not what this is.
I mean, it's all going to be cartoons anyway, so.
Yeah, it's just not what it is.
James Cameron for Avengers. Yeah, please. I mean, I would love that. Actually, James Cameron is my favorite, but that movie would take forever to come out.
The problem is he's going to go look for a purple guy, out in space, and it's just not gonna work.
That's when we see the MCU version of Stingray, because James Cameron's got to have some underwater scene going on.
Oh, Kefis says, Sean is a master storyteller. Well, I get to tell stories on this podcast pretty regularly, so I get to sharpen my skills, if you will. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited for this. This is the right thing to do. And I think that closing out this chapter and then, presumably a new chapter opening up for Marvel post Secret Wars, that's a perfect way to say goodbye to the Russos and that era of storytelling. And then when we get the X-Men and, new Avengers or young Avengers and whatever else, then we can usher in a new age.
Until Marvel realizes it's not really working out and they need to get the Russos for Avengers versus X-Men. Rinse, repeat.
I'm hyped for that.
Yeah.
Bring the Russos back for whatever you want. Somebody's got a hot hand. You don't go away from. Jack G says, no one can convince me that Batgirl was going to be bad. One day we will see it. I don't know if we will, dude. I don't think that we will. I wish we would, but I don't think we will. They went out of their way to get rid of that footage. And yeah, the directors of Batgirl, they made Bad Boys 3, and that was pretty good. So they've got chops.
Didn't they work on Miss Marvel too? Am I right about that?
I believe you're right about that. I believe you're right. The TV show, yeah. Okay. that about does it for the news portion of the show. But we still have one more thing to do because we asked you to get us to 60 likes and you crushed that. You went above and beyond the Call of Duty as you guys are wont to do. You always do this for us, and that's why we love you so.
Wow.
Therefore, it is time for a Justice League draft. You guys know how the draft works. I'm going to roll my handy dandy dice. I don't have Justice League dice or DC dice, unfortunately, but I'm going to roll the dice and we're going to choose. We're going to each individually draft a cast of 7, of course, it has to be 7 people to be on the Justice League. I said there would be a twist. And here it is. The big 7 members of the Justice League, well, they are on a mission to stop Darkseid. And that mission has taken them off Earth. Worse than that, it has taken them into the multiverse. So they're gone. They're gone. And we cannot choose them. They are not able to be chosen. But you know what's worse than that? All of their subsidiaries, all the derivatives of them, they're also not able to be chosen.
So list those again. So the big 7 would be
Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, and Wonder Woman. I'm sorry, I said Wonder Woman twice, right?
Yeah.
And
I guess I'm thinking of the animated series.
Yeah, I guess who would be this? Okay, sure, Hawk person
or Aquaman. I guess
Aquaman
might be more.
Aquaman.
Yeah,
that was who I had meant to say. So those 7 and all derivatives are gone. We cannot choose them. That means John Kent. That means Damian. That means Dick Grayson. That means anybody who is a spawn of them is gone.
So anyone who would exist in an editor's section of that world. So any Bat family.
Yes.
Wonder
Super
Woman,
family,
even though Donna Troy doesn't go by Wonder Woman, Donna Troy's out.
Gone.
Okay. All right.
So we are essentially going to have to build a league with no Superman, anything, Batman, anything, Wonder Woman, anything, etc., etc. That is our journey. And I already know that Kale has a massive advantage in this, but it's okay because this shit's for fun.
And this could be any DC character at this point now, because it doesn't necessarily need to be somebody who was a Justice League member. We're creating our own at this point.
We're creating our own.
Okay.
Who will win? Well, you guys will tell us in the chat. You let us know who wins.
I need to know a Golden Age caveat. Do like Green Lantern and the Flash count? There, they don't count. Okay, or they do count.
They are not eligible for this.
Okay, right. Okay, perfect.
All right, so I will now roll my handy dandy dice. We have to draft 7 people somehow, so we'll do our best. I'll roll.
Show wasn't long enough.
I know, right? I'll roll first for Kale. Here we go. That is an 8. So hot start. I'll roll now for myself. That is also an 8. And I will roll for Tyler. That is a 5. So it'll be Kale and I rolling off again to see who will go first and second. And this is for Kale. That is a 4. Now for me, that is a 4. Oh my God. All right. So now again for Kale, that's a 10. Okay. And for me, that is a 9. So it'll be Kale, myself, and Tyler. Kale with all the advantages today.
Okay. For my number 1, I am gonna go with. I actually, as soon as you laid that out, I think I actually came up with a pretty compelling narrative here. So I'm gonna start with my leader. I'm gonna go with Green Arrow.
That's where I was gonna go.
Okay. I'm going to draft Shazam.
Okay. For me, I'm going to pick Sorry, Cal. I'm taking Black Canary. And I'm also going to get Hawk Girl.
Yeah. I'm going to draft Cyborg.
Smart. My number 2 will be the Atom.
Which?
I don't have a well. I'm not bothered, but my preference is Ray Palm.
Okay.
And then my number 3, I'm gonna go with Zatanna.
Beat me to it.
That's a good one. Damn, that's good. I'm going to choose Black Adam.
And Shazam on the same team? What are you, Bendis?
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
y'all ain't getting anything done.
All right. I want Big Barda and Mr. Miracle.
Okay. Very good. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Mr. Terrific.
Fair play.
Nice one.
I like that.
My number 4 will be Elongated Man. Ralph Dibny. Yeah.
And 5.
Boy, you really you take Green Lantern, you really wipe out a whole universe of characters, huh?
Uh-oh.
Blue. I'm gonna go with the cooler Animal Man, Vixen.
Hey, are you looking up characters? What is this?
What? Excuse me?
Oh, the cooler animal? That's rude.
Who do you think I am? I'm looking up DC characters. Is that what you're accusing me of right now?
You don't
Yeah,
need
it's
to.
called closing his
Yeah,
eyes.
I don't.
I'm gonna is it me? Yeah. I'm gonna take a page out of Marco's book and I'm gonna grab Swamp Thing.
It's gonna be real fun of those Justice League Hall meetings, I bet.
Mm-hmm.
I want Deathstroke on this team. I want to put a villain on there, maybe change it up a bit.
Interesting.
I think he is more of a pragmatic character, and I think he could be swayed. So I have Hawk Girl, Big Barda. So this would be my 6th. Okay. Man, I need a heavy hitter. Apollo.
Okay.
Oh, from the Authority.
From the Authority. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, all right. Let's see. I am going to choose. I'm gonna go with Starfire.
All right. I'm going to plumb the absolute depths of my knowledge with this one. And my number 6 will be Ragman.
Ragman.
Yeah.
Plumb the depths of your knowledge by mentioning the character you always mention.
And number 7, my heavy hitter, constant foe to Green Arrow, Hawkman.
Okay. I like it. Damn, who was I about to draft? I totally lost my train of thought. I'm gonna go with Jaime Reyes, Blue Beetle.
Oh, good one. Oh, I almost said Blue Beetle, and I went, no, he doesn't have powers. I already got one of those.
I'm at my last one now, right? 7? Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to go with, I need my young POV character, and I'm bringing Sideways into this. Let's go, Sideways.
Oh yeah.
Get
Ah!
some shine
Oh my
here,
god.
buddy.
All it took for him to get on the Justice League was for every single main Justice League member to be gone.
That's how it be sometimes. And honestly, he's the
That's how it be
character you use
sometimes.
to bring those guys back.
Oh my god.
He can shift multiverses. He can slide, go sideways.
Robotters has a great team, I think. Question, Detective Chimp, Metamorpho, Katana, Booster Gold, Captain Atom, and Robbie Reed, Dial H for Hero. Oh, Dial H is so
I
cool.
love Dial H, dude.
I like that. Friendly neighborhood comic guy got Green Arrow, Black Canary, Booster Gold, Zatanna, Vixen, Mr. Terrific, and Shazam. That's an interesting team. Wow.
Beast Labrat only needs one, and it's Dr. Manhattan.
All right. Atomic Hound got Orion, Black Canary, Swamp Thing, Zatanna, Vixen, and Cosmic Boy. I don't know Cosmic.
Legion.
Legion.
Atomic sounds like a late 80s, early 90s Avengers team, but for the DC equivalent of that.
Yeah, sure.
It's like the one with like Black Knight and Cersei.
Pete Collins got Dr. Fate, Captain Marvel, Shazam, Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, Ted Cord, Starfire, Mr. Terrific, or Mr. Miracle, and Big Barda. I love it.
Beast Labrat, their actual team is John Constantine, Hype Man, Lobo, Lex Luthor, Mr. Terrific, Peacemaker, and Robot Man.
Oh shit, Peacemaker. John Cena.
That's the Amanda Waller team there.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, the lack of Firestorm was definitely an omission, Mystery Men and Monsters. As soon as I saw you say that, I regretted that I didn't choose Firestorm, because that would be awesome.
Can I say something? Do people like Firestorm?
Yeah. Firestorm rules, dude.
I never got it. Never clicked for me.
All the Firestorm I've seen, I've enjoyed, but I haven't seen a lot. I thought he was cool in Doomsday Clock. I thought he was cool in during the New 52. I really liked Firestorm.
Big and Brightest Day too, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He's they really do him well in the Flash TV show too. One of the few things they did well.
He's on that?
Early.
Well,
He may have come up again later, but
no, he's one of the main characters in Legends of Tomorrow for like a couple seasons.
oh, that's where he went.
Yeah.
Rock Sanchez says Icon, Mary Marvel. The poll popped up.
Yeah.
Icon, Mary Marvel, Yellow Lantern, Jessica Cruz, Cyborg, Green Arrow, Miss Martian, and Zatanna as Dr. Fate. Ooh, interesting.
Switched it up. I like that. So these are the teams. I want you guys to vote. The poll is up right now in the chat. So I got Shazam, Cyborg, Black Adam, Mr. Terrific, Swamp Thing, Starfire, and Jaime Reyes, Blue Beetle. Tyler got Black Canary, Hawk Girl, Big Barda, Mr. Miracle, Deathstroke, Apollo, and Sideways. And Kale drafted Green Arrow, The Atom, Zatanna, Elongated Man, Vixen, Ragman, and Hawkman.
Jeffrey Ragman.
Just real quick, who's the leader of each of your teams?
Arrow.
Mine is Black Canary, but Deathstroke thinks he is.
Sure.
Mine is Mr. Terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I want to see that.
Sean, you ever read The Terrifics?
No.
Oh, that's him leading a team. It's real good.
Yeah?
It was during Post Metal when Sideways was there. It was Fantastic Four in the DC universe with Mr. Terrific playing against
Doc Shaner.
Yeah,
Doc Shaner on art.
I remember that book. I just didn't read it.
I think it was Jeff Lemire, I think, as well.
Yeah, I need to.
Phenomenal.
That's what kept me off of it.
His best work at DC by far.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like Sean and our concepts probably are pretty similar. Mr. Terrific and Green Arrow realize separately, oh shit, we need the Justice League.
Yeah.
And specifically, Green Arrow's like, Oh, I was wrong. I was wrong. I was wrong.
Well, Mr. Terrific, he sees the need for a league, and he knows that, you know what, we got to do something radical. So let's get Black Adam on here. Let's get some weirdos on here to get it done.
In my eyes, in my team, Black Canary recruits Apollo, but not Midnighter. Too loose of a cannon. But Midnighter and Apollo's relationship happens, and they have to, like, Apollo's the butcher. If we're going boys references, going on here, and he kind of does things under the table, and Apollo's trying to be a superhero proper.
All I heard out of that was Black Canary's a homophobe.
Whoa.
He's trying to separate the gay
He's not
people.
breaking them up.
Oh my
Man.
God. Has there ever been a Justice League without the big three? I don't know. I think so.
Technically, right before, like, pre-New 52, it was Dick Grayson was the only one that was Batman, but even that wasn't technically.
Well, wasn't Supergirl and Donna Troy on that team?
Oh.
I was going to say even Justice League International had Batman.
Atomic Hound says yes. So I guess it must have happened at some point. All right. I'm going to end this poll here. The winner is clear. It is none other than Kale.
Wow.
Kale with 42% of the vote, Tyler with 31%, and me bringing up the rear with a paltry 26% of the vote. Thank you guys for voting. Appreciate it. And thank you for sharing your teams as well. I love when you guys take part in the draft alongside us. It's always fun. Next week, we are going to be putting the spotlight on San Diego Comic-Con. Now, when we do the show, it'll be Saturday morning, as you know, at 10:15 a.m. Eastern, which means it'll only be 7-ish on the West Coast. How you West Coasters make this show, I don't know, but I love that you do. What that means, though, is that we won't be able to talk too much about Saturday's unfoldings, but we will have Thursday and Friday to discuss. And Thursday's Pals Polls, so we might even talk a little bit about that day. But either way, we're going to do as much as we can to round up the news Saturday to get it to you guys. And whatever we don't make good on that Saturday, we'll get to the week after. So we've got our shows planned out for the next couple of weeks, pretty much.
Yep.
And of course, whatever else happens in the news, whatever big, to-dos we will get to as we do every single week on this show. Atomic Hound says we hit 80 likes. That's beautiful.
Whoa.
The day of. I don't know if we've ever hit 80 likes the day of. Maybe when we had Sal on here, we did. But otherwise, that's a beautiful number. Thank you all so much. Go ahead, Gil.
Quickly, are we doing anything for Deadpool and Wolverine?
Oh, my God. Thank you. Yes. We will be reviewing Deadpool and Wolverine next Saturday live. We're going to do the show, and then we're going to close it out, and then we're going to go live again and review Deadpool and Wolverine live for you guys.
Absolute maniacs.
We will have no voice by the end of that.
Yeah, and it's gonna be live. It's gonna be open to the public, so anyone can come and hang out. It's gonna be full of spoilers, though. So if you haven't had your chance to see the movie, you probably won't want to hear us talk, because we're gonna talk about all the big cameos and whatever else happens in that movie. But hopefully, this can be a celebration and a conversation destination for those of you who did get the chance to watch it by the time we are live talking about it. So big day. Between SDCC and Deadpool and Wolverine, we're going to have lots to get into. We can answer this question before we head out. Douchebag says, you guys know anything about Frank Miller's Ronin Rising Collector's Edition? I tried to find specific info about this, but I didn't find anything of substance. Any help is greatly appreciated.
Well, I got to say, Sean, calling it a douchebag probably doesn't help.
Hey, that's his name.
That's the reason why Sean read that comment. He wanted to say it.
Yeah.
We need a new nickname for him. DB. How about that?
No, I'm going to say douchebag. It's fun.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah. He picked the name.
He's given us a bit.
Yeah. I do not know anything about it. I'm sorry about that. Maybe that can be Maybe that somebody in the chat here can describe it, but I'm not too familiar with Frank Miller's Ronin Rising Collector's Edition.
No, sorry. That might
Now,
be a near mint or who's the other guy? Omnibus collector or what's that
near
channel?
mint.
Is it near mint? Okay.
Now, I think that is the new Ronin stuff, right? You're talking about the new Frank Miller Ronin stuff. I know that Frank Miller Presents has had a bit of a wonky publishing schedule with a lot of their stuff. So if I'm on point with what you're talking about, then Boss Rendier says it's coming out in October. So there you go.
I actually just did a quick Google and my comic shop says November. I've got November 7th, 2024. It's the long-awaited sequel to Ronin by Frank Miller.
Yeah. So you're going to be able to get that here but at some point between October and November. Keep your eyes on solicits and things like that, your local comic shop, to be able to get your hands on that. Is Frank Miller's Ronin worth reading? I haven't read it.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
For people who like Frank Miller, they like Ronin. That's what I can tell you.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
So maybe.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we got to get out of here. Make sure you leave your like if you haven't. Subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed. That is critically important. We just hit 2,900 subscribers. We are on the road to 3,000. Let us get to 3,000 before the summer's out. Let us do that.
Let us, please. Please let us.
I'm sorry,
We've been begging you.
2,800, not 29.
I was like, did we get 100 subscribers during the show?
That would be nuts. Yeah, smash the subscribe button if you haven't. And if you want to contribute, patreon.com/thecomicspals is the best way to do that. The next time we'll be live with you is Thursday at 6 p.m. for Pals Pulls. Quick tease of what we're going to be reading on that episode. We're going to be talking TMNT #1, The Six Fingers #5, the finale of that book finally.
Ooh.
Rook Exodus #4, Nyx #1, the debut of that, and then Nice House on the Sea #1. So big show for you guys on Thursday. Don't miss it. 6 p.m. Eastern. We will see you then. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other.
Don't forget to vote.